What's up, everybody? This is the poker coaching study session. Today, we're going to be looking at
river bluffs and how badly I've done them. So what we have here is this is my database of 150,000, 200, 300, 400,000 hands. I don't know how many hands. And in these, I have 1,300 river bluffs. And in these 1,300 river bluffs, I've lost $6,000. So I would have been better off never bluffing the river. Uh, Having said that, let's look at a few, and a shout out to Multi-Table Foley, who is someone who commented on YouTube asking for this particular filter, said, I want to see river bluffs. I want to see, and specifically, Multi-Table Foley said, I want to see Scotty bluff on the river, and I want to see how badly it goes for him. And so that's
So,
what we're going to see.
so
Some of these, if the hands are marked, that means we've seen them in some other review for some reason. And we'll just go backwards from the most recent to the like that, and we'll do it in our usual way. Welcome our newest person, Tim. And Tim is an asset to all poker analysis. He's one of the smartest poker players I know in terms of analyzing a hand and knowing what's really going on it. I'm happy to have him here. And I also found playing live this weekend that I talk poker much better than I play it. I don't say that I talk it well, but boy, do I talk it better than I play it. I watched myself making mistakes. I watched my hand putting in money that I went, why are you doing this? You know better. And I just watched my hand do it, just throwing the chips in like an idiot. Having said that, let's watch me lose. First hand here, I'm just going to get, we don't need, yeah, we'll leave these on. There we go. Okay. First hand, King Jack suited should raise. This is a good raise. Raise to 2.5. That's fine. That's just, this is using the GTO wizard sizes and ranges. Right now I'm working with a poker coaching sizes and ranges off the new peak GTO, learning those, but this was before I did that. So raise, pocket eights in the small blind should 3-bet in a raked game, and in a timed game can call. But 4-8 suited decides to jump in there because you don't get a VPIP of 48 without calling with 4-8 suited. Now that the 4-8 suited comes in, pocket eights is even more incentivized to 3-bet and steal this money there because he's going to be out of position against two players, which is twice as shitty as being out of position against one. But I assume he's going to call because that's what players in this player pool do. He does call. Queen deuce suited should absolutely fold. And the fact that there are more players should make him fold even more, even quicker. Let's see if that makes him call. Yep, makes him call. So I have made the least egregious mistakes so far. I'll be making the most egregious mistake later.
Scotty, what stake are we playing?
This is, let's find out. This is the 50 cent $1 on Ignition.
Dear God. Okay. All right.
We see
okay,
lots.
Text me next time you're at one of these tables, okay?
All right, you can join. You can play. You can make the player pool worse for me. All right, so eight. Everyone should check this. Eight should check out of position. This should just check around. Check, 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 check. Oh no, 4-8 offsuit. 4-8 suited is going to bet for no. Oh, he has a pocket four. So he's got a four. So he bets.
He's got bottom pair.
Right. The eights can call this, and they also can just fold to this, given that it's four-way, and hasn't seen what the next people do. I think eights should probably fold here. And without the eight of diamonds, I think eights should definitely fold. I think eight should only call here with the eight of diamonds.
Yeah, I think you need some backdoor equity.
Right. And I, smelling this nonsense, with my two overs, backdoor straight, backdoor flush, and knowing that this guy is a VPIP of 48, I've got 48 hands on him. So I have a model of him in my head, and that model includes calling here. When I check here, he's going to check. He needs to check behind, but he doesn't. He bets half pot. I now have a gut shot.
Sometimes I donk here if I call with.
Do
you ever do that?
There exists donking. I wouldn't do it, but it definitely exists. And on a card like this,
Like
I
I just
think you'd
float the
rather
turn
don't.
and donk with this because I don't think that hit him. Like it doesn't
You could.
complete anything. So I think for me, this is like a donking opportunity. Bet 10 or so.
I think you
Okay.
need a card that completes some kind of nutted equity. Like a repeat 5 would be interesting.
A repeat
and-
5 is a really good donking card because he doesn't bet a lot of 5s and I call all my 5s.
Yeah,
Makes
something
that
that kind of has nutted equity. A repeat 5 would be, I think, the most common.
Right. And the other thing, Derek, I think you want to look for is a card that changes the nuts. So you want,
Like-
so a jack, a queen, a king, or an ace, whether it hits his range or not, is a better card because when he has a 10, because he bets all his 10s, right? He bets other things, but if he has a 10 here, he's betting. So the 9 doesn't hurt his 10. I want a card that makes his 10 uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, Scotty's right. Really, you're gonna see donking when you have an equity shifting turn.
Right. And then 9 really doesn't shift equity. It does, a 6 shifts equity, although not dramatically. A 7 shifts equity, a 9 doesn't. Those at least bring in straights. But
And kings and aces obviously would be better donking cards.
Yeah. But then again, you also have to look, not my range, because I'm the raiser and he's the caller here. So like that. But now that
Okay.
I have a decent gut shot and I don't believe him, I call. This is probably a bad call.
You're actually getting pure odds here.
Right. And then here's the ace. And this is where and when I played this king jack here, I played it to win on a jack, a queen, a king, and also I want to win on an ace. So I say I'd like to win this
Yep.
hand.
Shove it in. Half pot.
Worked.
Oh, you
Pot.
bet big. Okay.
Pot. Pot. I have an ace.
Totally fine.
I have 2 pair. I shoved it. All right. Yay for me. All right, Derek, this next hand is yours.
Okay. Um,
There's a poster.
so king deuce folds, ace 4 folds, 5 6. I'm okay with making it with playing a 5 6 here.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
4
do.
and a half. Yeah. The ace 6 should fold. The ace 10 8 should fold. Ace deuce on the button.
But go back
Don't
because they
like it.
didn't. You got your ace 6 calling. So
Oh,
now
okay,
in
well.
this configure. So now play it
I-
out from this
I
configuration.
don't like the ace 6. Ace 6 should be a fold here.
I agree.
10 8 should be a fold. Ace
Yep.
deuce should be a fold.
So exactly. How can the ace 6 play when he's dominated by my 6 5? Doesn't he know anything? All right.
Okay. So we obviously hit the nuts here.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna bet half pot here.
Bet half pop. We can also check range. Just at it. We can do the simplification of checking range out of position. Not wrong. In the old
Yeah,
days,
but
before I ever
Okay.
studied a solver, I would bet this 100% of the time. And I'm not convinced that against my player pool that I shouldn't be betting this 100% of the time. But I'm trying to
my
play
player
better
pool
against.
folds. My player pool folds too much.
So
to,
that's
like,
good.
c-bet. So I'm just like a no-brainer. And what? I have 6 high. Obviously, I put money in.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a fine exploit against your player pool and probably against mine. And I'm trying to
Yeah.
play more like the solver right now to learn this,
So
be able to go up in stakes.
okay. So in solver land, I would say this is a check.
Yep.
In my player pool land, this is
Yep.
we have the nuts, so we're betting, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I checked. Now we're on ace 6. What would you're playing as ace 6. What would you like to do as ace 6? I realize you wouldn't be here, but sorry, you're here. What would you like to do?
We have no pair. We have no draw. We can check and make use of our position.
All right. That's what he does.
So that's what I do.
Okay.
Oh, complete the rainbow. In my player pool, this is an obvious bet.
I agree.
In solver land, it's probably a check.
Oh, no, I can bet now. I think I can, bet in solver land now. We're gonna check this one. We can't really check this one out because the sizing is wrong because of the pre-flop post, but we'll still see the theory. I think I can
Okay.
start a street bluff now.
Okay, why do you think that you can bet here?
I have a
in
gut
solver
shot.
land?
I have a gut shot and his check behind, well, okay, in solver land, I have a gut shot and I can bet draws. I could have check raised my draw when he didn't let me check raise it. I now have a little more of a free hand to bet it. In exploitative land, to quote Mark Goons, they don't protect their checking range, therefore I can bet this. And if I get called, it's a single pair hand, which I can make fold by the river. Let's see what happens. So those are my reasons. Let's play it out. I bet he's got a fold here, right?
He has no pair, no draw. He has
Right.
ace high.
Right.
No,
But he
of
doesn't
course he
want to fold
calls.
Right.
Okay. It's a brickety brick.
And so what would you like to do as the 6-5 suited?
Unless he has jack nine, there's no way
Yeah.
he can call this.
Right. Would you like, so
We have
you,
six high.
yeah.
We're gonna
so
lose on a showdown. There's no he doesn't have five high. We
Right.
blocked five high.
Exactly.
So, we blocked five high. So
Right. So in a
unless
choice
he
between
has
losing the hand
four
and
high.
bluffing, what size would you like to bluff? Because losing the hand is not an option this way.
This is not a good card to bluff. I think we can give it up here.
Right. This is not a good card because it brings in a straight and it hits his straight draws. So if he had 10 jack, he now has a 10. If he had 8-10, he now has a 10. If he had jack king and he called with that, he now has a straight. So
I don't like it. I don't like it. We can just check here
okay.
and lose
If-
lose with our six high.
Exactly. Okay. But if you're going to bluff, which I'm going to do, what size do you want to bluff here, given that this 10,
37.
what?
37.
Okay, huge.
Or
and I
like
agree.
50.
Okay,
Because
Ooh.
we made our straight, right? We're gonna bet
Maybe.
our straight.
Yeah.
So we bet 50.
okay. I think I'm gonna go about 18 to 25, but because I really want to get a
Yeah.
9, a 10
Hate
to
it.
fold. I don't think I'm getting a queen to fold. So there it is, 21.
And he
That went
folds.
well. All right.
Okay.
Larry,
that
you're
worked.
up, but before you're up, let's take a look at one thing in peak GTO. This is hijack versus, this is low jack versus hijack. He can't have an ace-6 here, but I can play, but we're not playing from his point of view. We have to play from my point of view because I'm the only one who has a hand that is allowed to be here. So we change from MTTs because that's not real poker to cash. Low jack, there is our 5-6 that we had. There it is raising. So we raise it. Hijack does have calls in peak GTO. For those of you who want to know how peak GTO was built, this is a chip EV simulator. So Derek, this simulator is appropriate for your game because your game is a timed game. If you're in a raked game, or God forbid you live in California in a drop game, you don't want to have any of these calls. You want to be you want to be 3-bet or fold low jack versus hijack. But he calls, and as we can see, ace-6 suited, ace-6 offsuit is right there in the blue calling range. He calls. It folds around to us, and the board we get is
Okay. I missed
queen
that. You said that ace-6 offsuit is in the calling range.
It was a joke. It was a
How
joke.
did you read that?
It was a joke.
Oh,
It's
okay.
so far outside of the
Don't
calling
joke.
range.
My brain. I'm not smart enough to get the jokes. Sorry.
I'm a professional comedian. It's a joke.
Okay.
not a
I
good professional
I was going,
comedian,
huh?
But I am a
I
professional
can't read
comedian,
this.
as in I do get paid.
Okay.
Queen 7-9 rainbow. Queen I'll get the suits right. 7-9 rainbow. There we go. We check range, which is what we thought we did. So here you go, Derek. Here is the GTO strategy, and you're varying from this for a good exploitative reason because of what you see in your player pool. And I think I agree that there's a lot of player pools where betting here makes sense. I'm trying to learn this next level, as I said, because I want to move up in
So
stakes.
GTO says
Check
GTO
range.
says check the whole. So on this type of flop, no
Out
matter
of
what you
position.
have, you check it.
Yep,
Out of
exactly.
position.
Check your ace. You check
So
your queen.
you're checking your
Yeah.
queens, you're checking your nines, you're checking your
Yeah.
sevens,
Yep. And as you can see, there's
you're checking your
slivers of betting. There's
tens.
0.64% of betting noise, and the betting noise is hands that you would expect to do it, king, queen like this. But the idea is, nope, you just check range and see what he does. And the reason is because you have a robust check raising strategy that includes lots of bluffs that humans never find. That's why you play this way, because you make more money with a check raise than you do by a bet fold. And the solver goes for it. That's where
So-
that comes from.
So mostly you when on like a queen on a dry board, out of position you can check raise.
You're
Yeah,
going
you
to see,
check to check raise.
we're going to see as we go, you're going to see it on wet boards too. There's just a lot, you do a lot of checking out of position. There are boards that you don't check, but it is rare to find a board where you have no checks. They exist. Some king high boards, some queen high boards do it, right, Mike?
King high
So-
boards are the most common.
Yeah.
So I'm probably checking not enough. Like I'm probably betting
Right.
way too much.
You're betting too much for compared to a GTO solution, which is made to play against GTO opponents. You might be playing perfectly against your player pool. You know your player pool better than peak GTO knows your player pool.
Right. But I'm saying
Oh.
that if I want to move,
You want to play more
up,
GTO, you need to check out of position way more often than you do. Yep. Notice, by the
Just a-
way,
Okay.
how
One
much,
quick
that's something.
One
Yeah.
quick note on that, like, checking flop concept. A thing I really like about this idea is like you can take aggressive actions and put a lot of money into the pot later in the hand once it's clear what the run out's going to be. Anything you do now, kind of you kneecap yourself. Like you build a big pot, and then the worst turn card on the deck comes, and then you're like, well, shit. Now do I do? And I'm out of position, and I have to like telegraph that I don't like this card by betting small or checking. And it solves that problem if you start with a range check,
Mhm.
which
Okay,
is
so-
basically just a elaborate way of saying that position is valuable and being out of position is a huge disadvantage.
Yep, and the
pot
number of
control,
people
control the size of the pot. Is that what you're saying, Tim?
Yeah, basically. And like if this was SPR 6, you can actually meaningfully get the SPR down by putting in like a pot size bet on the flop or whatever. At SPR 16 or whatever we're at, you can't meaningfully get the SPR particularly low on the flop. So like don't try. And anything you would try would just be like opening yourself up to getting, yeah, your hand to you.
So you're saying out of position, keep the SPR low because you're out of position.
And like you get to turn the informational asymmetry against your opponent. They check in position on this flop. That's a huge capping and condensing action that you can then exploit in your turn strategy. I bet
Like
you they don't
this.
have pocket nines here. They do not have. I bet you they don't have ace queen. Like,
Yeah.
And now you get to play the hand knowing that, which is
Yeah.
very powerful.
And so here you see
Come
it.
again?
Here's that 5-6 bluff that we saw, and it's happy to do it. And let's see what the sizing on the. I did a half pot. I don't know what this. Let's see.
Huge. It's like almost 2x.
Okay, so I should be playing better than that. I should be betting big.
I mean, you're also playing as humans, and I think against humans, constructing a 2 feet bluff on the right river is better here.
So I have these are the slivers of that size that I have. There's my pot size. There's my 150% bluff. So it really it loves it, but it really wants to go big. But I don't break the solver with what I do. So here's
So-
my half pot bet, which is,
So it
uh,
likes betting 11 here.
yeah,
Is that
Yeah,
what is
like-
that what we're getting out
Yeah.
of this? Is that
yeah, it
even
likes
betting
betting.
97 sometimes?
It likes betting 11. So there's my bet, and look at everything it gets to fold. Look at all the folding. And look at the calling that, we are not going to see. Is that true? Yeah, 6-7 not. I don't think 6-7 is not calling to this size. All right. So I make this bet, he calls, and we are on the river with the beautiful 10 of spades. And do I stop my bluff? Hell no. And the sizing is, I'm bad with the colors, so I have to physically see what the size is.
So it likes 49.
It likes, yeah, it likes massively doing it.
I said 50, but 49 will do.
Yeah, this is what, yeah, it likes the size you chose. It's okay with my size. My size is profitable, but
So
but it,
your size is not wrong,
nope.
I
But-
think, because it's just enough to get the job done, and it got the job done. So
But your size is, your size is baller right there. All right, Larry, you are up. Unless, does
Well-
anybody have any other question on the,
going upstairs to
on-
50, I think works a lot better.
It's
That
getting,
was my thought.
50's getting a 10 to fold. 50 could get a queen to fold. Maybe. 50's
Well,
not
I don't
getting a
know,
set
just
to, 50's not
One
getting a set.
pair, it's hard to call 50, I think.
It is. All right, anybody else want to see anything on this solve before we move on to Larry? I give you this.
All right, ace jack gets to open. It's hard to know what's gonna defend, there's really not. Villain 10 should open, oh, villain 10's limping, okay.
Welcome to Ignition, Tim.
Okay, so. we could potentially ISO ace 8 having button, having position. It's pretty loose. I think generally this is an ISO or a fold. For me, I think I probably would fold this. I think flatting is the worst choice.
I agree.
4-7, no thank you. And jack 3 should check option. Here's check option.
If this guy's limping range, if this guy's limp stat is 80% plus one of those guys, I think ace 8 is an easy ISO against those guys.
Yeah, true.
If this guy's, got a mixed, if he's got a 30% limp range and it's all he does is limp, like he opens 30% of hands and he limps them all, then this is an easy fold.
Yeah, if he's splitting range, probably changes it.
And if he's splitting range, I'd like to, I don't know. I don't know if he's splitting range, what I want
If
to
he's
do.
splitting range, then I think you ISO. But you're saying he's got the bottom half of his opening range.
Yeah. If he's splitting range, but has a lot of limping,
Okay,
that's what it is. I want to see a lot. If he's at a 30% VPIP, I don't care what his ratio is. I want to fold ace 8.
that makes sense.
Yeah, he's got to be around 60 or 70 before I want to play the ace 8 against him, I think.
Okay,
Something
all
like
right,
that.
so
Blah, blah, blah.
you got check option here. Go to a flop.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not gonna pontificate on how these guys should play this hand, because
Okay, so we're just
the
going to
only
play.
one the only one I'm ever gonna be here with is you.
Yeah, all right. So yeah, so
So-
let's not talk about how they should play because they shouldn't have played it this way. Let's just talk about how I should play. What should I do?
You should check.
I agree.
Check
Checks around.
around. Okay, so you've got a marginal path. On the checkboard, cap range. I think I prefer to. With a jack heart blocker, I might bet, but here, I think I just want to try to get the shirt on.
Yep, I agree. I should check.
I don't really see any reason to do anything else. Okay. So interesting card.
I don't know why this is in this filter. This shouldn't be in this filter.
You might.
Or maybe
you
they
might-
bluff. Maybe they bluff.
Yeah, maybe they bluff. Yeah, your bet's fine. And either way,
Yeah, I don't know why this bet is in the filter. It shouldn't be.
no worries.
Okay. Tim, I give you this.
Okay, what fresh horror is going to happen in this hand? I would like to see sevens raise. I think King Jack offsuit. It's like just good enough, right? I don't want to three bet that much here, but I think it's good enough
It's good
from the
enough.
small blind, of course.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's
Right?
good.
highly rate
Yeah.
game, I would probably see bet this.
And I do want to go big. I've really been fighting to make all my sizings big enough in all places. I don't want to see anything less than 11, but I'm sure that's not the size I'm going to see.
I like
Right.
Big
11.
calling is objectively bad. I think it's really bad.
So in a timed game, in a no rake situation, this king jack offsuit is not terrible to do this. It's a better raise.
Sure.
In a raked game, this is an EV nightmare.
Why don't
And
you just find the nearest toilet, put your money in it, and do it in flush? Like it's
so
faster.
now looking at this in here, just for fun, just to look and peek, our newest tool. This was the button raising. And the small blind has a calling range. King Jack O doesn't three bet it in peak.
Really?
Wait, let me.
This is
I
peak.
accidentally clicked away. Sorry.
Okay, this is
So-
peak GTO with no rake. It says call the King Jack O and fold it. That's what it says.
Interesting. I'll post the Wiz sim,
Yeah, no, I'll
which
put
is
it.
raked.
I'm gonna put it up right now. I'm gonna put it up on screen because it's a raise in the whiz. I'm almost positive.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
Oh, so you have cash but not MTTs. That's why the reason you couldn't pull up. Yeah. Okay.
okay, so here we go. Cash.
so
and
I
we-
have a no calling in the small blind.
I
I
like
think
it.
that's a fine
there it
Seems
is.
fine.
Simplification.
Yep. That's how all of us play.
That's how Joey said,
Oh,
try
wait.
this. So I
Yeah.
tried it and I like
Yeah.
it. So I
Cash.
never call it the
I think
in
you
the
could
small.
bring in a small number of calls like small blind v UTG makes some sense. But small blind v button just like don't like
Yeah.
never.
Right. So here it
Pardon me?
is. Yeah. So here it
So-
is. King Jack O, pure raise. The difference in these two sims is, first of all sims are different, and there's no such thing as the GTO solution. There are GTO solutions. But the real differences are, here's a raise to 2.5 instead of 3, and this is a raked situation. Peak GTO, this is a raise of 3 and no rake. And so that's the change in the King Jack off. In the situation we are, it's a raise of 2.5. In a raked situation, this is his worst choice. Let's see how this goes. So this is Larry's hand, right? Or is this This
No,
Tim.
I think this is Tim's.
This is
hand.
Tim.
This is me. This is Tim's.
Tim's? That's right. All right. Going to the flop.
With some absurd ranges. Yeah, I don't really want to. I'm not donking a small blind. I don't really want to bet much as button here. I think your strategy with your pairs is mostly just going to be a check them down. I think, start bluffing from the bottom of the deck, like bluff like deuces. I think,
That seems
and then
smart. What I did.
and then
I-
plan to triple it off because the pairs are mostly fighting other kind of crappy hands. You're not getting much good stuff to fold, but like your
Right.
deuces can fold out his sevens. But
Right.
your sevens, what is it trying to fold out? Eights, nines, 10x, jack X. A lot of 10x and jack X has combo draws and stuff. So like you're not really getting to the fold anyway.
I think this is a give up on my part.
Or I said combo draws, but I meant like pair plus draws. You get the idea.
Yep, exactly. But this is what happens.
So what you're saying, Tim, is that just all your pairs check in this situation.
Yeah, but you can bet a little bit from the bottom of the deck, like deuces, threes, fours,
What does the phrase bet from the bottom of the deck? Does that mean like if you have low cards?
deuces up from starting at deuces.
Oh,
He
okay,
meant
okay.
bet from the bottom of your pairs, not from the bottom of the deck.
From worst
Well, but
to
from the
best.
bottom of the deck too, like 6-5 can get better stuff to fold, and I think is an attractive bluff. You know, Not because it's like a good hand and not because it has a draw, but just because it can get something to fold anything.
So my 6-5 here has got to be 6-5 suited for me to open it. So why don't I do it with, I can do it with spades, clubs, and diamonds and not do it with the hearts. How about that? So so I've got nothing,
Seems-
but at least I've got a backdoor. Does that make
Seems
sense?
fine. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, okay. That seems like good play. But I decide to play.
I'm looking at a solve, and yeah, it does it a lot more with the vectors. Yep.
Okay. There we go. So I've decided to play wrong.
The magic of the ignition 100 NL player pool was taken over.
Yes.
I mean, on this turn, I don't really want to keep putting money in with this hand. I think it
Okay,
just
but first what should villain 16 do? Let's
just check it down. He's
Yeah, you
probably
check
just check calling, even if it feels kind of gross. With outs to the nuts, he probably just doesn't fold much at equilibrium.
right. So I have to check, of course.
Yeah, I think you still want to check. You should wake up and blast with like sixes in particular.
Yeah.
You like if you have sevens here, you can have sixes.
Yep. can just
On
check the river.
this board, I think villain checking is good. I think he is like into marginal made territory. Now you. Hmm. Hmm. I can see a bluff here. You're pretty much
Like
bottom
that?
of range. Hmm.
You just saw a
I don't
bluff.
hate it.
Right.
I don't hate it. I mean,
What about the size?
I might dial it up to something in the 120 to 150 range.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think this is fine.
Yeah.
I think you correctly identified that you are like stone bottom of range here, right? Like you really, it's hard to have a worse hand in the deck.
Exactly.
What are
I
you supposed
think,
to have?
yeah. I think if Mark Goons bluffs this, he's bluffing it at 20 big blinds-ish.
Yeah, I don't mind 15. I don't mind this so much. I mean, and you can be getting something as weak as like ace nine can be in this guy's range, you know, like something as weak as a crappy one pair. So it's out there. You got it
Yeah,
through?
I
Good
got
job.
it. I don't know how I lost $5,000. This is going very well for
So,
me.
so,
This is going very well.
All
so he
right.
folds his two pair here.
He folded his two pair. I think my size should have been bigger to get this two pair to fold. I think this is it. I
You
think
think this is
all-
typical of your player pool? My player pool would never fold two pair there.
typical against this guy on this day in this hand. I don't know.
Yeah, but
That's what we're reviewing it for.
okay. Does your player pool like I don't see my player pool folding two pair here.
Not for a pot size bet. I'm surprised. I'm shocked
Not-
that this worked.
Yeah. So
So Scotty, we don't have to look through all of it, but I have sevens checking back the river, but then like deuces to fives betting
You wanna
130%
share
pot.
share your
Yeah,
screen
I can
for
share my screen.
Yeah,
Sure, why
sure.
not?
so
We don't have to spend a long time on it. Let's see. So yeah, this is 100 NL or 100 big blind stacks, sorry, on Wiz. I have you, it's the same action. You start with third pot, which is like not, you know, like the majority action, but it's fine. And yeah, when you get to river, actually has villain like blocking with his two pair, blocking and doing some bigger betting too. And if he does find a check, your main size with range is the 135, but the 60's in there too. If you gave it the 100 you use, I'm sure it would use it some. And it doesn't really use it with
This
sevens.
is my river. This is my river bluff.
Yeah, this is your river strategy.
Right.
You can see sevens doesn't really go for it, but you can see the EVs are run quite close. Your checking is worth smidgen 0.01. Your bluffing is worth minus 0.07 or so. So it's like, but then he's over folding so much. Even if you go 135, he's still supposed to just snap you off with his king jack.
Yeah.
So it's a bigger mistake for him to fold than for you to misbluff this hand. So
Yeah.
if he's folding that much, then
I'm shocked that he folded.
Me
Like,
too,
that
Yeah, it's
is unheard of in my game.
me too.
a bit weird. Yeah, you can see like all this one pair or no pair stuff, 6-5, 6-4, 5-4s, no pair, threes, all that stuff can go for it at some clip.
And so what was the what was the turn sizing preferred? Oh, no, did I bluff? the
Mm.
turn? Yeah, I bluffed no, I bet the flop.
Check
And,
turn.
right, so let's
Yeah.
take a look at the flop strat real quick, just to see, just to
Yeah.
make what you're saying. There's twos, threes,
So
fours, fives, and sixes doing the bet, and sevens, eights, nines saying that those are marginal, because that's your target. You're trying to get them to fold.
yeah. Yeah, I think so.
So,
And then turn, once a bet goes in and gets called, turn is a quite polar spot. The main strategies are like 75 and 125.
right.
And you use some like king low, queen low, and good made hands for the
Right.
value.
And
of
then you
those.
give up on all those two, threes, fours, fives bluffs. But when it goes check, check, and you get this wonderful river card, and the sixes are betting, the 6-5 and 6-4 are betting because they are mimicking the six,
Exactly.
the set of sixes.
Kind of a sneaky merge because they can river two pair or trips. That is very
Right.
disguised.
Good. And then when
And they
we,
can also be ahead. Like villain can still call on turn with like a bear king or a bear queen.
Mhm. Right. So then it goes
And then
check,
on
check
the-
on the turn.
Yeah.
That's the cue. And then when the river comes in to the four straight, we bet the queens that we have. Let's look at that. Let's look at the river strat again.
Yeah,
When
here it is.
he checks. So we bet all our queens, obviously. We're willing to bet sets, and we're willing to bet sets in two pair. Look at us betting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not
bet
Jack
two pair.
10, not King Jack, but stuff as weak as Ace Jack and Ace
Yeah.
10
And we bet it all for the same size as queens,
mainly.
135. And the bluff is 135. And I did 100.
I think that's fine because like you see it's using 60 as well. So if you kind of
Yeah.
merged all of this towards one strategy and the
Yeah.
strategy was 100, I think that would be a very reasonable.
Okay. So,
I like it.
yeah. So poker should be a game of, exploiting your opponent's mistakes. And what it very often is because we're making so many mistakes, or at least I'm making so many mistakes, that if I have an edge, it's that they make bigger mistakes than I make. And certainly, in the live game that I played yesterday, I played 12 hours yesterday, I made so many mistakes that I knew were mistakes. I just, like I said before, and we may talk about this tomorrow. I don't know. I'm so much better when I'm looking at the screen, and I'm so much better talking about the hands afterwards than I am at actually playing them. But they made bigger mistakes than I did. I mean, I saw their mistakes and went, that's a huge mistake. My mistake is just a big mistake.
12 hours is a long session. How was
yeah.
your brain at the end?
Pretty good. They were still playing bad,
Okay.
but I wasn't ideal. But I wasn't making more mistakes that I recognized at the end. I was making mistakes through the whole thing.
How many breaks did he take?
Uh,
Few.
Not really.
No?
I played straight through, kinda.
Oh, wow.
Are they playing PLO double board bomb pots at your?
No, we don't play PLO double board bomb pots at our game. We play 3, 5, 10, where the $10 is a mandatory straddle. And when I sat down, the one guy at the table, so there were 7 of us playing, it's a 9-player table. There were 7 of us there, and one guy wasn't straddling. And it's like, we're all supposed to straddle, he didn't. And I sat down and I went, I don't want to be the next jerk at this table, but tell me why I'm not going to also not straddle since someone else is not straddling. And I asked the table, I asked honestly, I said, convince me to do this, because if there was another table, I would have just asked for a table change. It's like, why am I at this disadvantage? And one of the guys, who's a reasonable person, he said, it makes the game better. And I said, okay. And then within 20 minutes, he went broke twice and left, and we all straddled for the rest of the 11 hours. And I was happy about seeing him leave. He also did a very weird thing, is when he won a pot, he threw $10 to the person who lost the pot or who did the previous straddle. It's like he paid the straddle fee if he won the pot, but he didn't straddle. It was bizarre and not good for the game. All right, moving on. They made a bigger mistake. Skate, this is your hand. I give you this three-handed nonsense.
Okay, 10-9 on the button. It's probably gonna be the kind of the lower part of the offsuit 10 region.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can open this.
Absolutely.
We do.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, as we mentioned, small blind does not do a lot of calling, especially queen three off. We should fold that.
Yep. Just to look at that button range, all the offsuit nines are playing, a little bit of eights, and if you go to 2.5, there's even a little bit of king seven in there mixing, but that's your range. Offsuit, all the offsuit nines are required. He defends. What next, Skate? We just lost Skate. Skate, you're muted.
Yeah. Talk
Okay,
to
so you
myself.
finish your hand.
Yeah, so we're gonna, even though we have a pair, okay, so big blind is gonna check out of position. Standard, and the king is better for us. So I think that we should go for it.
Yep. It's bet range.
I think
And
we
what's
get
size?
big bets on this texture, this dry king high texture. I think we get, it's not entirely dry, but I think we get big bets on it.
Yeah. And if it was like king 10-4, we've got a lot of, then we get even more big bets,
Yeah,
like
agreed.
even over bets. But I go for my small bet. I should probably start making this 1.8 instead of 2, but that requires more typing.
Okay. I think that 4-7 is gonna call, especially with their backdoor.
And they should. I think this would be a very bad fold. I think it's a better call than a check raise.
Yep, especially versus
Yeah.
button of all positions.
Yep.
All right, same thing, check. And now, I don't know, should I say what I would do?
Yeah.
Okay, well, since they call the flop, they could have very wide range. They could have a 4, they could have a 6. Hopefully they don't have a king, so we're gonna bet big here on the turn. If I'm gonna continue,
Right.
bluffing, I'm gonna go like, I don't know, like 7.
Sure. 7 to 12. Now here's my argument for why I think you should give up on this hand. Which is, let's talk about the range that we got here with. We bet all our kings, we bet range here. And so we can continue, when we have this deuce helps us when we have our diamonds, we get to continue with our diamond bluffs. If for some reason we were on the ace 5 or the ace 3, we get to continue. So there are a lot of crappy hands we get to continue with. And this 9-10 got to continue if it got a 7, an 8, and if it got a 9 or a 10, it could call and win. So because I can bet any 7 and any 8, and I can safely call any 9 or 10, I think this is just the give up portion of our range. And I think I should just give up now.
Okay, well, yeah, they could be defending with many suited kings, right? But I don't think they have, like, my thinking is I don't think they have a strong king, so I'm more inclined to bluff.
Okay.
And
so you're just bluffing range here. I mean, if you're bluffing 9-10, you're bluffing everything that you bluffed. You're bluffing, you're continuing to bluff every bluff.
well,
right?
maybe not. I mean, maybe the ones with like no showdown value.
Like this.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean you might not bluff, you might not continue to bluff an ace, and you might not continue to bluff ace 10 here. Because that has showdown.
Maybe, and plus we could get that over on the turn just by checking too. So
all right.
On the river, excuse me.
Gotcha. So yeah, so you're bluffing, you're bluffing every shitty thing you have, and you're betting for value all the good stuff, and your showdown value crap, you're gonna check behind a lot.
Yeah, maybe not every time, but I would want to bluff the worst with no showdown value more than
All right,
yeah.
So
all right. I'm behind it. I like it.
so I have a different strategy that
Yep.
might be a weakness because I bet the turn if I turn equity. If my equity
Right.
improves, I bet. So it makes me kind of readable, I think, that if people know this, right, then it makes it pretty easy to read my hands. But I don't think that the people that I'm playing against that matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's only easy if somebody's really, if everyone is paying attention. I mean, yeah, like just like you mentioned, I don't want every bluff to be, just because I picked up equity on turn, you want to have other combos too.
Yeah.
At least
So
me.
But like that's most of it, honestly. There's some asterisks and like some you sprinkle some mixing dust across the range, but I think that's so much of it. So I don't mind it.
so
Yeah.
so I wouldn't bet here because I didn't turn any equity.
Yeah,
That's
that's how I
the way
played
I
it.
play.
I agree with you, Derek. The one thing that you said that I think where you said it makes you, maybe that makes you easy to play against, but they're not paying attention. I agree 100% that they're not paying attention in your game. I've played in your game. They're not paying attention. But you're still hard to read, even if they are paying attention, because although you continue when you pick up equity with your bluffs, you also continue with the value that you have. So
Right.
you're playing the hands that you're playing the same. You're playing your value hands and you're playing bluffs that picked up equity. That's hard to pay against. That's good. That's a good solid strategy. I like it.
Right.
Um,
But
Exactly.
so when
Yeah.
when a blue two comes comes out, there's not many like okay. It's kind of a blank unless I have like clubs, right?
you have ace nine of diamonds here. You
Because
played ace nine of diamonds like this. You have ace
yeah,
10 of
yeah.
diamonds here that are still behind a king and still behind a six, but they picked up equity. But you also have a
Yeah.
king queen here and an ace king here that you continue to bet. You're hard to play against if you do
Yeah.
this. Now, Tim, Skate is recommending something even more aggressive, which is Skate is saying he wants to continue with the ones, he definitely wants to continue with the picked up equity. He's on the same page as you there. He's just betting even more. He's also betting the ones that have no showdown and no equity and just barrel his way through because he believes that this calling range here does not consist of kings. The kings check raised him already, and so he's going to get the guy off a 6 or a 4 by the river. He's going balls to the wall.
Okay.
That's probably an okay strategy too. It's higher variance. It isn't the one I picked. And now we get the queen and Skate. What do you want to do on the queen? First of all, with your 4-7, what do you want to do?
Okay, so they check. Okay, so we check turn, right? So
Recheck turn. So here you are with a 4-7. You've played the hand perfectly up till now. If yeah, you played the hand great right up till now. What do you want to do on this river with a 4-7?
well, I could either check or bet. I mean, as played, the bet check bet line is kind of bluffy, so because of that, I will check.
Okay. Yep. I think you're checking your marginally made hand and you're going to call some bets and fold to some bets depending on size. There's the check. And
Mm.
so the first thing is, do we turn this into a bluff ever?
Do we turn this into a bluff ever?
Turn it after checking the turn, after I checked the turn, do I turn this into a bluff ever here?
Well, I mean, I'm not really sure. Maybe I guess that kind of depends on our opponent, what they would do on the turn if they had a king at all, or I mean, the no draws completed. The king is better for us. The queen is better for us. They checked all the way through, so that is a reason to bluff. But again, like I said, the check, check bet line is considered bluffing. So yep, I would probably just check.
Okay, good enough. So This queen doesn't shift equity, so it is not a great bluffing card for me. He checked the turn and checked the river, so that's good. I beat 5-7. I beat a 5-7 that continued, so I don't have to bluff. I need to get him off a 4 and a 6. I'm never getting off a king here.
Mhm.
So those are reasons to bluff. Now, here's my thought process here and why it's wrong. If I hit the queen on the river, I'm going to bet for value, and I'm going to bet half pot with a queen for value. Therefore, to be balanced, I bet half pot without the queen for a bluff. That's my logic. Here's why it's wrong.
It's not enough to get him to fold.
Right. If I bet a queen half pot, I'm betting half pot because I want to be called by a 6 and a 4 and pocket sevens. Therefore, I've said to myself that a 6, a 4, and a 7s call this. So while this is balanced, it's not exploitative. So I should be betting the amount that I believe that a 6 and a 4 and pocket sevens fold to, which is 9 or 8 or 12.
Well,
I'm not trying to get a king to fold here.
Yeah, I suppose that's true, but your bluffs are just going to be zero EV anyway, but they're necessary, in order to give your opponent a reason to call your value. Um, I think
Better
it's
point.
not that like they're gonna call a 6 100% or fold it. I think like you are aiming to put them in a difference, so you're aiming to have, you're aiming to polarize around it. That stuff that's better than it and worse than it, and ask them to play the guessing game.
Right.
And it's kind of like they lose no matter what once they have to, you know, because like their 6 is worth money when they check, and then once you bet 60% pot or whatever, it's worth 0 EV because you should just have a king or a queen often enough that
Right.
it's worth 0 for them. So they've already lost like their EV once they get to this node.
Okay. So that is exactly, I think you've described exactly why the solver does it. The question is, against the player pool that we've seen, should we abandon the balanced logic and go for when I have a queen, I bet 5 to get called by the 4. And when I don't have a queen, I bet 9 to get the queen and the 6 and 4 to fold. And in all cases, I lose to the king.
well, I'm in the fuck balance camp quite
Right.
clearly,
Derek
as
says
I
fuck
said before.
balance. So voting. So Derry says fuck balance. Larry, what do you say? Balance or fuck balance?
Depends on your pool, but I say generally, fuck it.
Our pool. Your current pool.
I don't think balance is required in ignition.
Okay. So
I'm fine
Larry's
with saying fuck it in principle, but in order to decide which way to go, you just need you need reads on what they're doing.
right.
And if you have like even an instinct, even an intuition about what's going on, then you can run with that. If you don't have that, then I'm fine with just using a 60% strategy here, and the money like obviously bluffs are supposed to get called sometimes and they're supposed to lose when they get called. So
Yeah.
it's fine.
Okay. So there we go. That happened. Next hand is Arcturus.
I looked up the solve. He's calling river at some frequency. His hand is mixing.
Mhm.
Your hand can check back or bet. It is 0 EV, of course. So
And what's my bluff? What is the solver's bluff size?
60 is very frequent.
Okay. Great.
You mean
This is just
60
like
big
right
blinds,
in
Tim? Or
No,
60?
60%.
60%.
No, not 60 big blinds.
Nah. You're like
60
right
big
in
blinds
the
is punting.
realm of a GTO strat here. And he is too. He's supposed to like call like half the time on the river. Is he
Right.
folding more or less than that? I have no idea.
Yeah. So there we go. All right. Next hand goes to Arcturus. I give you.
Okay,
This is-
seventh raise.
Did we
Wrong
just do this?
way. Yeah, wrong way.
Right. Wrong way. So this is
No, you're good.
Arcturus's hand. Here we go.
A6 raise, queen 9 call.
Okay. Good.
Check and seems like Solver probably bets polarized, I don't even know. But we simplified range bet, I guess, so we bet small.
This is probably one where against the small blind, against the big blinds range, we can polarize, and we might even polarize range. A king jack board is really good for us compared to him, I think.
Yeah.
So this is my
Mm.
version of polar. It's 3 instead of 2.
You make some 7x indifferent, but that's about it.
Yeah, he calls. Here we go.
Is the
Uh,
queen nine a good call pre-flop from big blind, or should it be queen 10 offsuit from the offsuit side?
I put it in chat. Figure it out.
Okay. And
Can the queen?
I'll,
Can the
I'll make
queen
it, I'll make it visible for you.
Can the
Here
queen
we
nine
go.
three bet here?
Oh, we better redo this. Okay. Peak has just gotten itself in the mood, so we'll just reload peak. So, against the 2.5 raise, it is your big blind strat has your offsuit nines mix. Your 10s are required, your offsuit nines mix.
So queen nine can bet, can check, and fold.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
There we go. And
I've been
in
trying to
peak-
find these folds from the big blind in, higher rate cash games, because like you're just making nothing by defending like ace four off or whatever there.
In a high rate cash game, I think that it's a 3 better fold, I guess, eh?
Yeah, against a 3 big blind one, I'm assuming it's gonna be a pure fold.
Oh, look at the king nine off
Yeah,
calling here.
yeah, but the
What
king
is-
nine, but look at the similarity of king nine. The king nine off is similar against a 2.5. It never folds. It just has a little bit more raising. And here it has any raising? No, it's a little folding. Where there's the difference. This
So
is
this
again,
is a 3 big blind bet? Is it that
this
what you're
is-
saying?
peak GTO is against 3 big blinds. GTO Wizard, we're looking at the GTO Wizard 2.5. GTO Wizard also has a 3, but we're not looking at it. And GTO Wizard has a rake, and peak GTO is no rake. So those
Okay.
are,
Oh, you found that out? Peak GTO is
Yeah.
based on no rake?
yep. Peak GTO is built for the Texas timed game. It's built for the 5-10 game.
Oh,
And
geez.
they're gonna come out with a 6 max version that is built for online with the online rake. That's on its way.
Oh.
Yeah, I checked that out, Mike.
So is peak GTO free or
Some of it is, I don't know what part is free and what part isn't.
oh,
I don't know. Go look.
okay,
it's-
I'll go look it
But
up.
whatever it is, there was a sale. I don't know if there's still a sale. It's highly affordable and a fabulous value. Brought to you by pokercoaching.com, Jonathan Little's training site that all of you should do, because Jonathan Little has made me the player I am today with my massive 1.7 big blind per hour.
Yay.
Great. Thank you, Jonathan, and
Same
all
actually.
the
Yeah.
at pokercoaching.com.
Thank you.
I'll say Jonathan Little, but also you guys, Scotty and the rest of you in the group. So
I love pokercoaching.com. I love the study groups. All right. This is our tortoise's hand though. And now, having called this, and I think this is a fine call from him, especially with the queen of hearts. You can't fold. Okay. Now there's my bet. There's his call. Equity completes on the turn.
I guess we barrel. It's like so bad to barrel without a diamond, without a heart.
Right. Well, he's got, I mean, we first got to make sure, is he checking here when this heart comes?
Yes,
Okay, he does.
he raised a bunch of two pair, I assume,
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
a bunch of flush draws.
Yeah.
He's like, he didn't raise a bunch of two pair, maybe he could lead, but.
Yeah.
Maybe on the eight of heart, let's say, maybe he could lead.
So what
Anyway,
would you like to do as a hero against this check with this beautiful 2 of hearts?
I don't know. I just blast. That's like.
Okay. I give up here. Let's see which one I do. I do the give up. The blast, one of the things about the blast though is in GTO world, you are not allowed, you do not have big bets on this flush completing card. You have only small bets. So that's the one thing I would caution you on. Not whether you bet this combo. You know, have a party with whatever combo you want. But if you want to get closer to GTO play, when you have your flush, you don't bet it big, and when you don't have your flush, you don't bet it big. So
Yeah, you're
you're
right.
maxed out.
75%, 50% are the sizes. Yeah.
We have 75s there? Okay. We have
Yeah,
no, we
some,
have no, yeah, okay.
but no
What's-
overbets exactly. On a lot of other
what's
boards, you'd
the-
have 150s.
What's the principal size? When you bet?
50 and 75 are tied-ish.
Okay, all right, so I'm wrong.
Well, but it's like, I think you're right. It's like, it's medium. It's not big, or it's
Yeah,
not super
okay.
big. Because like, I would say a big turn size is like over 100. And I would call this medium for the term.
Oh, this is not going to go well for our hero.
Boy.
Check?
Arturus, you have the second
Yeah.
out of position and you're playing against a red line maniac. What would you like to do?
Oh, so check one.
Yeah, do that.
And you give up? I don't.
Oh,
think
no, of
so.
course not. I bluff here. I bluff into the second nuts. Come on. We know that. Doesn't work.
Uh,
It doesn't work.
yeah, but I'm thinking like, what combos do you want to bluff? Like maybe ace 7, something like that.
Oh, Jesus. What combos do you want to bluff here? Okay. You
I
just
don't know.
wanna-
You don't bluff e7 because it's your like the hand you target to fold, so you don't bluff a7.
Yeah,
You want to unblock pairs problem.
I can't, I mean, I want to block a heart. How do you block a heart without having a heart?
Maybe deuce. I don't know. Ace deuce.
I don't think these are very high bluffed scenarios.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, if you well bet 10 of hearts, like
I want to see this. I do want to see what do we bluff here? Because it's obvious what we value bet and it's
Yeah.
obvious this didn't work, but that's not the point.
I'm gonna wager it's probably gonna be almost nothing because
There's
Could
always
be-
something that,
they're
No, it has to be something because if you have value, you have bluffs.
now
They just
we have,
move around.
we have seen some rare
Yeah.
exceptions to that, but the GTO's theory, I mean, game theory optimal actual play says if you have no bluffs, you can't bet, you have no value. You have to have both to be.
Yeah, because why are they calling? Like, what are they calling with and why are they calling with?
Right.
Yeah.
And the river is the beautiful 5 of heart. Oh, sorry, we're still on 2 of hearts. We get the 2 of hearts. That's right. Then we go check.
you bet.
Oh, sorry, I didn't bet the flop. I needed to bet the flop. There, I bluffed the flop and I bluffed the flop.
66.
66 is closer to what I did. And he raise, fold, call, check, bet, call. Now comes the deuce of hearts, right? Now comes the deuce of hearts and it goes check. And I give up on my nonsense with my bluff. Let's see what the bluff was. So with the ace, with my ace 6 of diamonds, which is what I have, I can bluff and my primary bluff size is 9.4, which is 75%. So my particular hand could bluff here, which is what Skate wanted, which is what I think Skate wanted to do. Somebody wanted to do. He checks, but I check behind and give up on this. We pick up our 5 of hearts on the river, and all we want to know here is what do we bluff? When he has the queen 9 that he has, somewhere he bet it away. But the queen 10 is the same thing. He bets a lot of his queen of hearts, but he does check some of it. In this case, he checked. Now, hello, Peak GTO. Let's see how this tool works. Can we eliminate our, so we want to say, let's first look at our hearts. So hearts bet all over the place. All the nuts bet hearts. Queens bet hearts. Kings bet hearts. Tens bet hearts. Sevens hearts. Three of hearts bets. Okay. So maybe the three of hearts is a bluff. But we bet, but if we have hearts, we bet it.
No, for a block size? No. It's
You
not a
mean we
bluff.
donk
You
out?
not-
We donk out or we
No,
check
we're
raise?
not donking. We're in position. This is our river.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other guy.
No, the other guy already
Go ahead.
bet. We saw his bets. He bet all his hands that he didn't bet, but occasionally he tries to trap with a queen like he succeeded in
Okay.
doing.
Yeah, we pretty much have no bluffs for this. Like you mentioned, the size of the threes.
No, but
it's not.
No, Skate, I'm just looking at the hearts right now. I've limited it to that. Now I'm
Oh.
going to look at the bluffs without a heart. So I was just saying, if we have a heart, we bet it. And maybe maybe that's your bluff is betting the tiny hearts to try to get the medium hearts to fold.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can click on equity.
Right. Now let's look at if we don't have a heart. So if we don't, I think if we do this, oh no, can I get that?
I guess
I-
you got to do one by one, right? I guess.
I'm not sure how to do this in Peak.
Yeah, or maybe just hover over something like ace 6-0, which will have like
Yeah,
a
let's
lot of
just
different combos.
Yeah.
Or ace 3-0
Oh,
or
look at
ace
that.
4-0,
Look at that.
just some like
Look-
junky stuff.
No, we bluff. We bluff nonsense. You guys wanted to find nonsense. Here it is.
This is good, right? It unblocks draws, which is good.
What we don't bluff, here's what it is. You don't bluff if you've got showdown.
Right.
So
Big
kings
brain.
don't bluff. No king bluffs.
Stuff as good as like ace queen, ace 10.
Right.
Can check back.
King jack is not bluffing here. King jack is doing a tiny value bet with two pair. It's a
know,
weird
that's-
value bet, but that's what it is. That's for value.
Yep.
Good value, but value.
Oh, to pair. Okay.
Yeah. Two pair. And here's you're calling with all your kings, right? Your queens check back because you know, even they can win.
Yep.
So the only aces, right? So the only aces that are betting have a heart. So just having it, oh no, here we go. Ace 5 without a heart is nonsense. So you have to go for it.
The magic ace 5.
Right.
Ace 4 off,
Right.
ace 3 off. Stuff
Right.
as weak as that.
So here we are with 5-4. We're not betting 5-4 as a pair. That's a bluff.
Yep.
Now, how about 8-6? No showdown value at all. Pure bluffs, no heart. You wanted to find bluffs? Whoever was that who said
Yeah, it's really tiny.
it's insane.
Tiny.
No, but this isn't, but Derek, this isn't tiny. This is how often we have it. We don't get here with 8-6 very often.
Oh,
If
okay.
we get here with 8-6, we bluff.
Definitely.
Last turn with 8-6. That's fine.
I mean, look at how much 10-6 we have because we bet it on the flop as a as whatever nonsense we bet it as. So we have a lot of 10-6 and we bluff it all over the place. My combo of ace-6 that I bet, it was ace-6 of diamonds. My only problem is that I didn't bluff it often enough, is that my hand was so good that I was allowed to not bluff it sometimes. No, so this is reasonable GTO play here on the river. I suspect that my flop bet was too wide. Since we've gotten this far, let's look. All right. Because it's only on the, okay, so on the button, when I get here, ace-6 of diamonds, I can bet. This is exactly what we're not supposed to use the solver for, is to look through and say, can I do what I did and get reassured? So The answer is yes, I can. When we get to the turn, so I bet and my size is perfectly fine. It's actually the preferred size is big because of the king jack board. So good, I found that. I went too small. I went 3.2, but it was still the same. It was, I went bigger. I just didn't go bigger enough. There we go. Now you get the 5 of hearts. He checks. And do I give up with my ace-6 of diamonds ever? Yeah, I do sometimes. So perfectly, so like that. And then when I get there with it at the end, I bluff it. So the name of this, no, that's tomorrow is the one where we do a section called a Poker Punts or GTO Geniuses is what the title is in YouTube. So this counts as GTO Genius and also as a poker punt. There we go. Arturus, that was your hand, I believe. So we're back to me. So it's time
I
for
just
me.
wanted to flag one thing that we haven't noticed on this hand, which is
Yes.
that he missed a very high frequency raise on flop. This gut shot, no real showdown, 1 heart. It's actually a very attractive raise on the flop.
Yep.
And so, you know, that could affect lots of things. It's
Yeah.
kind of
So
what you'd
Tim,
expect from a
So he could-
31-19 guy.
here's
So
what
he
we've
could-
discovered is in my player pool, certainly in Derek's player pool, but in Derek's player pool is the 1-3 live in Texas, in Niagara. My player pool is the 100 NL on ignition. They don't find that ever statistically.
Yeah.
We never seeing them get, the only person we're seeing get those is me. Not saying they work for me, but we see me getting them. We just never see that from our opponents.
Yep, I believe that.
Yeah. All right. So that was Arturus. The next hand is me.
So Tim,
I've talked
check
enough.
raising your gut shots is in GTO's game, but it's not in the player pool. Is that what we conclude?
Yeah. Which means like very simple things, like you're gonna overfold to that check raise on the flop because it's excessively strong when it comes.
Yeah. Like I overfold to check raises. Like I play a very, very exploitable style. I overfold to check raises. I overfold to tree bets. I overfold to you know,
Those are good
continue
exploits in your
aggression if I just have one pair.
Seems good.
Those are good exploits. All right, here we go. King deuce suited is in the cutoff is a mistake. This should be king deuce suited.
Jesus.
Okay. All right.
I think
What-
king
is
deuce
it
on the
king-
button is fine.
Is it king 5? Did you say?
Move to a different room real quick? Just because we have.
King deuce on the button, I think, is fine.
King deuce on the button is correct. King deuce on the cutoff is too wide. And my only justification is that I hit the button.
I don't think it's that big a deal.
I mean, you're just outside. You're just outside,
just
Scotty. If
one
you're
off.
playing against
I
a
think you're
pool
losing a
that's not as
tiny amount
good,
of equity.
it's certainly doable.
Yeah,
It's certainly doable,
I didn't
but I also
realize
don't need to do it.
my sim has king 3 suited 100% of the time. So
Yeah, king
you're-
3 suited is
you're right.
100%. Yeah. King deuce suited is the button, king 3 suited is in the cutoff, and those are the ranges that I
Okay.
know. And those are the ranges that I should be playing because those are the ones that I know. I have no reason to expand this. You know, I mean, if I had a reason, it would be justified. I don't have a reason. There was nobody sitting behind that I had a read on that said that like, if these guys had been, if these guys were folding to steal at 90%, sure, increase it. But I wasn't seeing that. I just hit a button. He calls with pocket sevens. That seems perfectly good. Both these jack 10 should fold. I expect the jack 10 in the big blind to call. I'm not positive he should fold there. I think he should. I'm gonna look that up. At a position of 2 players, I think he needs to fold that jack 10.
Yep.
But of course he calls it. So let's take a look, not in peak because this was a 2.5. So let's look at the wizard for the accuracy. Cutoff. There's the raise. There's the incorrect raise. Here is the button with the sevens. mixing calls, folds, and raises. Small blind is nowhere near calling with a jack ten, and the big blind, not so bad. It's fine.
So there's
Easier.
there's folds on the button.
Yeah, with
in
sevens.
ideal world?
Yep. Sevens is not what you think it is. Yeah.
Okay, I call all my I play all my sevens on the button.
That exploit is not going to hurt you.
Because,
Although
like,
it also like, some people are massively over folding versus three bets and some people are under folding. If you've got a guy who like likes to raise and then fold, like three bet him. Just like don't call anything.
Yeah, 100% of the
Like
time.
if he's just gonna like never four bet you light and never call you with like ace jack O or something, kind of like marginal, it's like really nice to get that hand to fold and then
Yeah.
keep the blinds out of the pot and
so I don't think I've ever folded sevens on the button to a cutoff raise.
You are not making a mistake, and you're definitely not making a mistake in your player pool. Also notice that again, this is with rake. You have no rake, so let's just quickly look at it with no rake in this tool.
Yep.
The button raise. I'm sorry, we're cutoff raise. Here we go, and peak GT. Oh, sorry, fold, button raise, fold. Button
Cutoff
raise. There we go. Button raise. Sevens with no rake.
No. Cut off raise, Scotty. Cut off raise. We're looking to
Sorry.
swing it.
Cutoff raise. Same thing. Never fold.
Okay.
Look at that. This is because there's no rake. And this is to a larger bet. This is to 3. In a no rake
Okay.
situation, you can
So-
call all these
So I'm
pairs.
fine. So I'm fine playing all my sevens to. Okay. Just want
This
to
is fine.
check. Thanks.
Right. Now, I want to say one thing about the 3-bet strategy that I want to emphasize something that Tim said. So Tim said if they overfold to your 3-bets, you want to make your 3-bets. And that's absolutely true and clear. He said something else, but just that kind of flopped by that I think is really important, which was he said, and they're not 4-betting you light. They don't have 4-bet bluffs. So you don't, I'm sorry, they don't, they don't have 4-bet bluffs. That makes a huge difference because you get to see the flop with it.
Right.
So even if they're not overfolding to your 3-bet, even if they over defend against your 3-bet, if they never fold, but they play straight up post flop because it's a 3-bet pot, basically they play face up. You can learn to be a good enough player to outplay them because they're playing straightforward and face up. They're playing
Yeah.
fair fold.
good point, Scotty. Yeah, because
and-
like if you three bet, you lose like 6.5 big blinds or whatever, and if they four bet you, you're like they have kings. Like it doesn't matter. Like it's fine. I can fold.
Right.
And if they call you, then you're like, cool. They have ace jack suited, and I can play this position. Like it won't be that
Right.
hard.
Exactly. And you don't need the pot to go the way. This is how I play when I'm playing badly, which is you 3-bet your sevens or your whatever your hand is, you 3-bet. You c-bet all flops because you 3-bet from out of position. This is a mistake. They call you and you give up and play fit or fold there. But you don't have to do that. You can just play well after the flop. You can check from out of position and do a lot of check raising with made hands and with draws. You can make their lives miserable. And you can have them call flops, call turns, and fold on rivers and make huge pots if you play better than I do. And that's where raising these hands helps a lot. I'm sorry, you're in position. You're the button there. Everything I just said is wrong. Just play better than me. And we're all fine. I
No,
reversed.
I think it was well taken.
I reversed the seats. But the point I was trying to make was the one that Joey has made, which is even if they call the flop, there's still lots of money to be made on the turn in the river with your value hands and with some of your draws that you either get there or you play better than them because they're playing straightforward and face up after the flop. The people who are hard to play against are the people who 4-bet you who 4-bet you polarized and who check their marginally made hands and bet and raise their premiums and their draws. Those people are hard to be played against. Let's be those people. All right. But here, this is what happens. This is my hand, is it? Yeah. Jack 10 should check. King deuce should check. 7-7. Normally 7-7 should check here because when you have a pair below the top card of the board, that's marginally made by definition. Here, I think that's different because I don't have a lot of eights in my range as hero, and I don't check all, and I, meaning the generic player pool here, doesn't check them. So sevens becomes a premium hand here, in my opinion, and super vulnerable. So I think he can bet, especially with the 7 of spades, he can bet. So I think this is a good bet from him. And he makes the bet. Jack 10 needs to fold. And I can fold, or I can call in a multi-way pot with any value at all because he's supposed to be stabbing super wide and he bet really small, and a deuce is enough to call. So
Yeah, and I
can
think
call.
he did a good job of putting you in a crappy situation where you have a piece here, you
Yeah.
feel like you need to put in some money, but you know you're putting it in behind a lot. I think he did a good
Yeah.
job of giving you a
Yeah.
hard decision.
Yeah. And I think probably a good way to make this hard decision is any spade in your hand, you continue. And the king deuce of hearts, you continue. But maybe the king deuce of clubs, you fold.
Nah. You have to you have to call like 80% of the time here.
To meet MDF, but
They're
remember,
only betting like less than a quarter pot, so you should be calling like minimum defense frequency is going to be like 80%. So you're going to have to add a lot more. So I'd say any two.
okay. So I want to make one correction. to
Any
what you
two
said,
is
not
gut
to your
call, any
conclusion.
5, any 8,
Yeah.
any straight draw, any club
Yeah.
draw.
Right.
To,
Any,
I think
any
you
heart
have
draw.
to,
Right.
what?
Oh, you said club draw, but you meant any hearts and spades. Any
Yeah,
two
any,
hearts,
any
one
flush
spade.
draw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
I want to make one correction to what you said, Derek. Your conclusion, I'm perfectly fine with your conclusion because I did call. So obviously I think it's right, which is when you're calculating MDF here, when there are two players in the pot, your MDF is shared between the two players and
right.
becomes
I
the
agree.
square root.
I agree. But I was talking
of the
about the
MDF.
point where
Yeah.
the other player is folded.
Yeah.
Now
But
your MDF is 80%.
Yeah.
Or over.
Yeah. And the reason that I did this, I can describe in words. This hand was played after we played Multi-Way March Madness, where we used DTO Wizard as our tool. And in DTO Wizard, this guy is supposed to stab a ton at this check. So villain 21 is supposed to check range. I'm supposed to almost check range. And villain 19 is supposed to bet really wide.
Why are you
And-
supposed to check range?
Why am I in this small blind? I mean, in the cutoff, because I'm out of
Yeah.
position. So I have some bets, but I do a lot of checking, even with, I mean, my best hands want to check raise. And my other hands want to check call, and my
All
worst
right.
hands check
Okay.
fold.
Okay.
That's where it comes from. The there are so many hands where if you bet from out of position and they have nothing, they will fold and you will win the pot, right? And when you check, they will bet with nothing and you will fold and they will win the pot. And so we learned from that pattern to bet a lot from out of position, right, Derek? I mean, that's
Yep.
you and I played that
Yep.
way. We win all the jump balls by betting more than they bet.
Yep.
Now, I'm going to tell you the next level up, which is imagine how much more money you make when he bets a lot because you checked and you check raise him a lot. Not only do you win the pot, but you win his bet also.
Mm-hmm.
So the baller way to play our strategy, the adult way to play our strategy is not to bet out the jump balls. It's to check raise a lot.
Oh, okay.
8 hands and with draws.
Okay.
So that's how you take advantage of what you and I want to take advantage of, but even more.
So we have the not so third pair. So we're gonna
Right.
check raise it, right?
No,
'Cause
no,
he
this
made
isn't the check raise situation. I'm saying we have a lot of hands that we would check raise here. Our over pairs we can check raise. Our eights, rather than bet our 8, we check raise our 8. We check
Well-
raise 8 here. We check raise 6, 7 here instead of betting it. We check raise a bunch of flushes. We check raise some backdoor hearts that have some interaction. We bet check raise 7, 9 of hearts here. Do we have 7, 9 of
Okay.
hearts in the cutoff? Sure, why not? We do have 7, 9 hearts. So that's the thought process of how you get from your strategy and my strategy to the next level up strategy, as best I understand it. I could be completely wrong on all this stuff, because if I understood the strategy better, I would play it better.
Okay.
Um,
Like, is your player pool aggressive enough that you can play that check raise strategy?
well, on
My
ignition,
my
on
player
ignition they
pool
are.
is pretty passive.
Right. But you're playing 1-3. You're playing 1-3 on live, and I'm playing 2-5-10 live. So the answer is yes. And I'm playing 50 cent a dollar online, and 50 cent a dollar online is a better player pool than 1-3 live.
Right. I'd agree with that 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we have not seen that from their play here, but they're better.
Yep.
Because if we were looking at 1-3 live hands, they would be much worse.
Yep. I agree.
Right.
I agree
Now-
100%.
Now, moving forward to this hand, a lot of this just stuff I said is out the window because that was all heads up stuff. What we learned from our 3-way study when we were doing March Multi-Way Madness with the DTO tool was that villain 21 checks range. I don't check range, but I check a lot. And that allows villain 19 to stab wide. I have the advantage of seeing when villain 21, who checked range, check raises and fold all my nonsense. See, if I bet here, I run into villain 21's check raises. But when I check and he bets, I'm protected. I know what villain 21 is going to do. Villain 21 folded. Because of all that logic, I have to call wide against his wide stabbing, and that includes bottom pair in DTO world. Because I knew that, I chose to play this hand that way.
Ah, okay. That
Let's
makes
see
sense.
what
That's smart.
happens when I play the DTO way, because I really hate my hand and things. And when I look at it, I'm thinking maybe I needed, I mean, I have an overcard, that's good. I have a big overcard. I cooler all the other kings because of this, if he's betting king, queen now, and we hit the king. So not the worst thing in the world, but I think I wanted to have a spade to do it, or 2 hearts to do it, or have not raised king deuce suited, which isn't even in my raising range here. So all that said, moving on, I called. The 10, check, and he needs to check behind now. Clearly, this is an easy check, and he needs to call on a lot of rivers, depending on the run out. Check, check. There's the 8. The 8 is fabulous for my range. I have 8s, he doesn't. Is that true? No, he might have checked an 8 against the 10. No, he also has 8s. But I want to win the hand, so I have an 8.
Well done.
Okay. Derek, the next hand is yours.
Okay. Has Mike gone yet?
Mike is coming. Oh, no, Mike. Mike jumped in and Mike was gone, and then he ended up after you. But Derek, you go and then Mike.
Okay. Okay.
Actually, and Mike, Mike is going to take 2 because Mike was here, but he missed his when he left.
Queen 4 folds. King 2 folds.
This is the one we
7.
just did. That was the hand we just
Yeah.
did. I was hitting the button in the wrong direction.
Ace
This
4.
is the right one. Here we go. This
Okay.
is our next hand.
I can open with 7s in the low jack.
You can?
Ace jack, you fold, but he's probably gonna call.
But this wasn't an
Okay.
open. This was a limp. Ace jack should have ISO'd. So first mistake, 7's limping. Second mistake, ace jack not ISOing.
Okay, so now it's totally fucked. Okay, ace 4 must ISO, but it's probably gonna limp.
Ace 4 is going to ISO because it's me, but this is a perfectly fine limping behind. This is a Jonathan Little
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah,
which is after they've made this mistake. Suited aces, suited connectors, small
Yep.
pairs, high, basically high implied odd hands. If there's a low frequency of squeezing behind you, can just call along and play a multi-way pot in position and get, and realize
Sure.
they're.
Sure, we'll play it. We'll play a big
I'm
one.
not going to do that.
Okay, I think that's totally fine. That's
Yeah.
what I was suggesting, but
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna
like I think calling is fine too.
Yep.
Queen 6, obviously fold.
Right, but he's gonna call. but this is a
He's
terrible
gonna
call.
call with queen six suited.
Hell yeah, watch him. Look at him.
Okay, I think three betting is better than calling.
I
Calling
agree.
calling
Folding is
somewhere.
best.
Okay, then everyone else calls.
Yeah.
These guys don't have the balls to limp raise.
He didn't
Sevens
wanna set-
folds. What the hell's
didn't-
going on?
Because he didn't want to set mine at this, because he could be beating me, but he's not going to be beating all three of us. He has to hit a set to make it.
Yeah,
And he's
but
not
he
getting
flopped
the
the
odds to
set.
set.
Bro, he has
so-
28 big blinds. If I'm with pocket sevens here, I'm just ripping it every time.
Yeah, that's the other way to do it. That's a
It's
good
such
one.
a sweet spot to just check jam or like limp jam
Yeah.
with sevens.
Yeah, and go and be against ace king with all this overlay.
Oh
No,
my
I
God.
think, I think
Yeah.
Tim's point about ripping it is like that's why, like, if someone who knows how to play short stack is pretty
Yeah.
dangerous at,
Yeah.
but do you notice that almost everyone who has less than a full stack is a shit player?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
it's terrible. Yeah, definitely. That's like
So
that's like your first read when you sit down at the table in 10 seconds is stack size.
Yeah.
yeah. So unless they have like, 400 or 500 big blinds in front of them, you just assume they're a shit player. And
Well,
if they have a broken stack, less
yeah.
than 100, you can just consider them an idiot, basically. Because almost no one knows how to play a short stack.
Yeah, and if they do play
Cash game.
a good short stack strategy, you're going to see it quickly, because the short stack strategy is kind of obvious. I don't mean obvious how to play it, but it's obvious to see. They play very different than our player pool. It's not a lot of checking and calling.
Yeah. So
That's not a good short stack strategy. So Tim is completely right. This is a fabulous jam at 27 big blinds.
Yep.
But he's not going to do that. He's going to fold because it's not a good set mine. And that part I
it
agree.
is a good set mine. Shove it in for
No.
27. Get it in there.
No, if he jams, yes. But if he calls,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
We're not here, let me phrase it this way. We're not set mining, we're pair mining, and I already have a pair.
Exactly. Yes. So if you have 30 big blinds here, this is the correct order of play. Best play, jam. Second best play, fold.
I
Third best
agree.
play, stop playing poker. Fourth best play, call.
It's so funny that it's a gambling game and all these people don't want to gamble. Like I actually understand like Maniac more than these people.
Mhm.
Like, sir, you signed up to gamble. What did you think we were going to be doing here?
I like that, Tim.
Good
I like
point.
that.
Like, you could go read a book if you want. I'm not stopping you.
There is Netflix.
That's one
You have
good
a
thing
computer.
about that's one good thing about saying, do we want to run a bomb pot, or do we want to have a mandatory straddle? Because then it tells you who's got the gamble and who doesn't, right?
There's that.
Or better still is get the deuce 7 game going.
The
Do
deuce
you get the
7
deuce
game is
7
stand-up
game going when you play live?
Oh. So there's the deuce 7 game, which doesn't play in my casino. There's the stand-up game, which doesn't play in my casino. There's the rock, which plays in some of the casinos I play, which is tough. But then there's the game where if you win 2 pots in a row, everyone at the table gives you 2.5 big blinds. And that game is so asymmetric because if you win a pot, you have such an asymmetric advantage to try to win the next pot.
Yeah, definitely.
So wide. It changes everything.
Interesting.
All right.
I've
but
never
let's
heard of
play-
that before.
Yeah, they play it. Where does that game get played? I forgot. Someone told me. Maybe it's not Bay 101. It's somewhere in California. It gets played. All right, moving on this hand. This is Derek's hand. So the ace jack is going to call, obviously.
Squeeze.
Yep, he doesn't.
No.
Maybe if he was going to squeeze that, he would have squeezed it pre-flop. Here we go.
Check raise to 30. I don't know.
Yeah.
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 Shove it up to 30. Put half your
Right.
stack in.
But Tim, I love the fact that you pointed out that he should have jammed. I never saw it, but of course he should. Of course he should.
Yeah. So this is a squeeze
Yeah.
here to 30.
Yep. But here we go.
But he doesn't. He doesn't.
We go to
So
the
we get
flop.
see the flop.
Hello.
4, 7, 10.
Just to remind you of what he folded.
Yeah, yeah. He folded his 7, right?
It's not folded pocket sevens. All right, here we go. So he will be on tilt on the next hand.
Yeah, yeah. So the Queen 6.
Check. It went check, check, check,
ace
check to
jack,
me.
check. Well, we have the 4th nuts. Fourth, we have the third pair. Do we bet our third pair with backdoor flush? Sure, we do. Into 2 people?
Yep.
Position?
We
I think it's
stab a
okay.
lot.
Yeah,
Remember?
we can stab here.
It's multi-way pot. He checks range. He checks a lot. We stab a lot.
Yep, let's stab
Let's stab.
half pot.
Yeah.
We'll go
That's
tiny.
a third pot is that's the DTO wizard size.
Okay.
The DTO wizard size is a third pot. No, it has no other sizes that it allows. So that's what I've learned until we study with Prometheus this March. We're going to do multi-way March Madness with Prometheus. But until then, I'm playing DTO. There we go. And this is obvious how this should end. He should fold.
Hmm.
But he knows I'm full of shit. But I'm full of less shit than he thinks. Let's see what happens.
Oh, there's a changing.
Yeah.
There's a changing card.
Right.
So if he's gonna donk, this is where he donks. Right? Because it's a changing card. It changed what top pair is
Yep.
on the board. So he has right to first donk, right? Right to first bet now.
Yep. And his hand is described as a draw. You're allowed to bet draws. So
And so like this is where I donk.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. So
I
don't
donk my
know-
ace jack here.
Yeah. So I don't know if this particular hand in this particular situation against this particular opponent is a good donk, but from what we were talking about before, this is what you're looking for. You want to pick up equity. You did. You want a card that when you're bluffing, you want a card that changes the nuts. It is. So this may not be a good donk hand, but it's a good donk candidate. You should absolutely
Yeah.
be thinking about donking here. And I'm
So
not
let's
good.
shove
to that
40
position.
in. Let's pot
well,
commit ourselves. 40.
All right. Or you could
He
check.
doesn't. He doesn't go for it. He's not listening. He's not. This is not me playing there.
No.
Okay, so we got a card that changed top pair.
Mm-hmm.
We did not pick up equity,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm just going to use my position and check here.
I agree. That's what I'm going to do too. Or I could bet. I was
No,
going to. I
do
was going to
not.
do what you said, but I bet 10 instead.
Okay.
I don't
so-
know why. I have no justification here.
Okay, so now we check raise it all in.
He calls.
He calls.
This guy. This.
Oh,
if
I'm
this
not
guy.
very good. I'm not very good at reading this guy, am I?
Well, Derek, here's the thing. This is worth knowing. Because the thing we're trying to do is we're trying to learn to play better poker ourselves, and we're trying to create better models in our heads for how these people actually play. A guy who limps behind with ace jack doesn't check raise here. We
Okay,
don't know
I
that he has
do.
ace jack, but we saw him limp behind. So we do
Okay.
not expect to be raised here by anything but the nuts. And
Okay.
so maybe this bet is not so bad.
Yep.
It also is going to set me up for a bad sized river jam. That's the problem with it.
So it'll be like a pot size bet left.
It'll be a little too, it'll be less. It'll
Less
be a
than a
little-
pot size bet.
Yeah, it'll be closer to 2-8, but he calls.
Oh, he calls. Okay, now there's a pot size bet left.
Right. All right.
And he finally gets some equity.
Right.
So he's not going to donk it.
Nope.
He's going to check raise you here. So,
Nope,
wow,
he's-
this is not a check raisey guy, obviously.
He's not check raising. He's checking to call, and I am going to kiss 44.77 big blinds away. But maybe I'll only kiss 25 of them away. But
Okay.
I'm going to
So he
make the mistake,
checks.
and I'm going to
and you
bluff.
bet.
I'm going to bluff and lose. And I'm bluffing
all
all bet.
in. And he
Yep.
calls.
There's the mistake. Good. All right. That's what happened. We
Totally fine.
get to watch.
No, that's totally fine.
Yeah. Yep. That's what happened. All right. Mike, take two.
Hey. All right, what do we got here? We were looking at sixes. It's a little early. I wouldn't raise these sixes, but a lot of people do. And it should get back to the ace jack suited. Let's see what happens.
All right. So certainly in our, we don't have any model of this particular player yet. We have, but we would not be surprised to see him limp, right? Just from our player pool.
Oh, sure. Yeah, people are gonna do all kinds of weird
But
stuff.
he does that. Great.
All right, goes for the raise. It should get around to the ace jack. Okay, hero. Ace jack suited to a low jack, just past the low jack. Just a call here.
Yep, I agree.
Should go check. This is a very high frequency bet here from the low jack C bet, but the hand that he has should probably just be checking back. Probably maybe kind of like the top edge of those low pairs, maybe turn these sixes into some kind of bluff C bet. But probably should just be checking. Because your
Mike,
big blind range,
what
again,
size?
calling a big blind call here against a really early position in this board is, I mean, you're going to have a lot of hands that are going to continue.
Yeah. What's your size when you bet? When you turn the sixes into a bluff, what size you want to go?
Probably, I would just go small, no bigger than 50.
Okay. Even on this board that just so favors our range.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a huge favorite because, like I said, your calling range in the big blind to that early is still gonna kind of connect a little bit. You're gonna have a lot of combo type, pair plus combo type stuff.
Right. But
Like
also,
you have.
oh, go on.
No, that's it.
Yeah. But when we have value here, we slam this with value. So we
Mhm.
don't mind going big against the fact that we connect because we want,
Yeah, I just
when we have value,
I
we
just
want
think
to-
sixes. It's the hand itself is
hand
just
doesn't
one of
want it.
these. You just kind of.
Yeah.
So I mean, the bet's fine.
Yeah. He goes small.
Call your ace jack. No reason to raise.
No reason to raise. Yeah. Easy call. Hey, I have the nuts.
Yeah. So just check here because you just want to allow him to. I don't know if he's if he would want to continue to bet any kind of anything other. It'd be hard to bluff.
Yeah.
Not going to find too many bluffs. I mean, if you're sixes, I'm absolutely basically just giving up.
Give up. Give up.
Okay, you have the nuts straight. I think you have to value bet even, yeah, you have to value bet. Or do you check? Do you check and hope for a bluff? No, I think you just have to value bet and get called by some two pairs and heck, even some sets.
No, you're missing something. 9-10 Jack Queen. It's 9-10 Jack Queen King. Sets are playing the board.
Yep.
He's
Yeah,
calling.
you're right. Yep. Yeah,
His hand is irrelevant now, unless it's his hand is irrelevant unless he has an ace or a flush.
So my question is it better to bet or is it better to check? And I think I'm still, yeah, I didn't value betting because he might just try to call for chops and stuff.
Yeah, I like the value bet here. What size?
And probably just like in the B60 range.
Right. And then when he jams on you, you cry.
Yeah, oh shit.
Because he can jam a flush and he can jam the ace of clubs, just the ace of clubs.
Yeah.
That bastard. But he doesn't have that, and I bet 8.5, and he doesn't even call for the chop. I don't know how this got in this filter. This is not a bluff. Something's weird about the way the filter is written. Oh, I know why. No, it's not. It's because I have a pair that is lower than the top two pair. But I don't know how this got in the filter. It's in there. You got the next hand. Oh, did we want to see any of this? Did we want to see what his sizing would be when he bluffs here, or do you want to just move on? It's your hand, Mike. Do you care about seeing it in
Me
the sideboard?
personally, nah, I don't really
All right, then move on. All right, next hand is Mike.
You're too kind.
Yeah.
All right, so we should go. Should be a big blind
Also
block
attractive,
here.
too kind and too attractive.
What's that?
Also too attractive. My camera's on so you can see that.
Yeah,
I'm too kind and too attractive.
that's right. Yeah, this should just be a big blind walk here. I don't think 5-4. I'm not raising 5-4 either. What's going to happen? I don't know. King 9 can limp. 6-8 can maybe raise even. I mean, so let's see what happens. King 9 limps.
Welcome to cash, Tim.
All right. Queen deuce. Check.
And I want to say one thing here. We've said this 100 times, but I want to say it again, which is this guy shouldn't be limping, so he has a mistake. In the big blind, how do you exploit his mistake when you have queen deuce suited? You exploit it by seeing the flop that you never had a right to see. You don't raise him here going, he has a shit limping range, so I'm going to raise him from out of position with my shit hand against his shit limping range. He's already given you a ton of equity by allowing you to see the flop. Okay, that was my speech.
All right. I would check the queen deuce. And I mean, I wouldn't be here limping king 9, but if I was, I might stab here. It's a pretty decent hand to like kind of start betting that king of diamonds and over, some backdoor straights and flushes.
All kinds of things. Yeah. If you were in the cutoff and had raised that king 9 and gotten called, you could definitely bet that, right?
Yeah, I would.
would
And
be-
I'd be betting a big size.
That would be good. Yeah.
All right, queen deuce. Now that it's gone check, check. I think you could either bet or check. I think either would be fine here.
All right, and I'm going to bet.
Yeah.
know.
Okay. So you go pot.
Yep.
And king 9, not liking life, but feel like you pretty much need to call. It's probably pretty close.
Yeah. I like his call.
Now that we've gotten here, the queen deuce is you're blocking some good value here. And you just don't want to check this down.
Yeah. Yep. What size are you going to bluff?
I'd go on the larger sides. I don't think you could maybe make an exploit by betting kind of a block and get a lot of like ace high, king high type hands that may have continued to fold. So you probably don't need to go large. You would if you had the value that you can represent. Yeah, I'd probably just go like a pretty close to pot, like B75 to pot.
All right. Let's see whether I agree with you. I agree with you.
I was just trying to determine if it was necessary. I mean, yes, it's necessary if you're really looking to get these, a 10x, 9x, but they can have a lot of hands that you're either you could be just winning with showdown, or just hands that will fold to a small bet anyway and accomplish the same thing. But
right. And you just have to be careful that you're not playing against someone who thinks this, I'm not gonna say deeply, but who thinks at this level in this way, who says, you never block for 2 to 3 big blinds when you have a jack. The strongest hand that you have when you bet 2 to 3 big blinds here is a 6. Therefore, since I have king high and no pair, I will raise you. So if you're playing against that guy, the block bet is not fun.
Yeah.
As a bluff. Because he turns his bluff he bluffs you off your bluff, which is not fun. But I do this, and that's what happens. And because you did that so well, Mike, you get the next hand too.
All right.
We got 3 hands. You missed that one.
Oh, and interesting. How do we get past the flop here? How do we get to a flop? Because it should go raise, fold, fold.
It should. Oh, I know what happens. The 7's limp.
Probably limps, and then you get to see a flop, 10-6.
Right. Perfect. And once again, standard big blind speech against limpers. Speech has been made. All right.
All right, well, check the 10-6. Sevens. I mean, I don't even. I just never even care to even.
Yeah, he checked. Yeah, we don't have to analyze his hand. We're not playing that way. But we do have to get the one thing we do have to guess, by the way. I'm going to correct Mike in the future. I want you to say what you think he's going to do because we want to know how he thinks. It is worth knowing how they think. That's part of this exercise. Not what they should do right, but we're
Well,
saying
a lot
why
of
should
times,
we
I know what
figure
they
out what
do here a lot because we do see this a lot.
Yeah,
And what they
that's
do
why-
often is they often pot it.
Yeah.
Like with anything that they limped with.
right.
So
So we want to have an accurate model in our head of these guys. So we're not going to just do that. I don't know how this guy plays. It's like we're trying to figure out how this guy plays. But moving on, he checked.
The 10-6. You got a gut shot, right? But he's checked. He's limped. He's checked.
We don't have a gut shot.
We don't.
Oh,
8,
we have a
9,
double
10,
gutter.
jack, queen.
We have a double gutter.
The double gutter. Oh,
Double
nice.
gutter.
Okay. Yeah. So at this
Monster.
point, oh boy, I'm probably going to bet now that he's limped and checked. Then, since you pointed out the double gutter, maybe I'm going to bet. I was thinking about just betting anyway, but now does that make us want to check more and realize? But no, I think we just bet now.
That's bet. Our size, by the way, hidden behind that is 1.2. We bet half pot. He calls.
Sevens with a spade. Okay, fine call. And we didn't get there. Flush completer, a lot of overcards. Jeez, I mean, you're getting called a lot. Probably just go B60 and get called.
Yeah.
Quite a bit and get a fold enough
Mhm.
to make it profitable.
Right. Because we got the answer in our last one, which is what do we bluff here? And the answer is fucking everything that has no showdown value. And so that's what we bluff. Ooh, that's a strong he's bluffing his 7. He turned his 7 into a bluff.
He probably thinks it's value though. He
Right.
probably
Well,
doesn't think he's bluffing.
right. Well, when it's value, I fold. So it's not.
Yeah, he definitely thinks that's value.
Yeah. Yep.
Weird one.
He's
Very
just
weird
not,
one.
he's just not thinking it through.
I has flush.
I has flush.
I has flush. I like it.
Right. If he bet bigger, he could conceivably get an 8 of spades or even a 10 of spades to fold. I guess he's trying to get value from a deuce of spades, a 4 of spades, a 5 of spades, a 6 of spades, if he was thinking of it, I guess. Yeah. Maybe those hands do call. Maybe you do call. I mean, if you've got the 5 of spades there and he just min clicks you, do you fold it? Maybe this is not as dumb as I thought.
No, versus somebody who limped on the button. No, I think you fold.
Yeah. Right. We fold this combo. All right. There we go. Tim, I give you hand.
Sounds good. This is probably my last one. Fold to Queen Jack O. Oh, Jesus.
Tim,
It's always
you do
something.
not understand this player pool. You need to come to these sessions more. Everyone else here,
Man,
8-6 was limping.
it's like then it's gonna be an interesting one because King 9 suited probably should just 3-bet a lot versus your open and get the fold from you, which would be cool.
Mhm.
I don't particularly want to play this hand versus a limper. From your position, if I have a HUD, if he's like 60% VPIP plus, then maybe.
Yeah.
but against sort of, I mean, a lot of people are like VPIP 30 and limping some stuff here that's ahead of us, so I don't really want to ISO into that.
I agree.
Yeah.
If you were on the button, would you like to ISO the queen jack?
Not really.
Okay.
Like I need him wide. I
Right.
really want to see him quite wide. I
Yeah.
don't know what this guy is. Like, yeah, 60-ish, which he might be. I mean, if he's limping 8-6 suited from EP, he might be at 60 or more.
Yeah.
Why is the hero betting 450?
Because of the ISO. I'm ISOing. You see the limper?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
That's why.
Okay, I was thinking small blind, big blind. Yeah.
Right,
okay.
exactly. Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
I think even facing this action, I think King 9 suited could still think about a 3-bet. I'm sure he's not going to do that, but I would probably 3-bet here because it's like if I'm playing at the table with you, you're probably fairly active. Like you're not really missing a lot of spots. And you're gonna give me some credit. But also if I was playing at the table, you might also have noticed that I wasn't missing a lot of spots. So
You should be you particularly should be 3-betting me particularly here a lot.
yeah. Yeah,
But-
but yeah, button folds. I mean, that's like a nice part about the ISO though, is like you get this hand that's way ahead of you out of the pot, which is a big
Yeah.
win. Shouldn't really have happened, but it did
Yeah.
happen.
If you're gonna limp
Okay,
with
so
ace
somehow
suited, you should call.
we end up at a flop and I mean, with a range that's way ahead of this guy.
Yep.
Okay, SPR of 6 because he's short. I don't know, man.
What do you predict he's going to do? Not what should he do, because he shouldn't be here, but let's make sure we got a good model. What do you predict he's gonna do here?
I still think check call the most, but donking is definitely possible.
I think he's gonna check. I don't think he's check raising under any circumstances.
No.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, wouldn't
Donks.
yeah, okay, donking doesn't surprise me.
Donks.
I really want backdoor equity here. A 9 is plenty to go with, an 8 is plenty to go with. I'm debating how much I want queen jack without a flush draw. Like we have 3 combos that we can continue with. We have the king jack, the queen jack, the ace jack, the ace king. I don't know. I'm tempted to let this hand go.
Skates says he would fold here.
Do we have, I mean, do we have a HUD on this guy?
Look at the
I
chat.
would love a HUD.
Okay, let me, yeah, let me see what our HUD says. We need
Against player pool, yeah, I am thinking like
villain 43, he's
give me
48.
3 to a straight, 3 to a flush or something.
Yeah, let's see. I'll get you your HUD on this guy. It's gonna take just a second to dig through till we get to
Number 46, number 47, the next one's gonna be
So
number 48.
in general, do your
11 hands.
people don't donk out to me out of position often enough?
We
see
see
So I
it.
can
I see it a lot.
overfold to their.
Yeah, I believe that. You definitely see it.
Does that make
It's out there.
sense?
Yes, we see it in this player pool. I mean, in our reviews, we've seen a fair amount of donking.
Yeah, it's hard to
Okay.
say exactly how often, but like more than optimal, that's for sure.
We have 11 hands on him and he's.
Okay, so we really, I'm not even gonna bother with it
No.
at this point.
No.
But it's like after
But
the
he's found
limp
four, but he's
wall-
found 4 hands to limp. So we know that he is, that's why I went with my queen jack offsuit against.
I think it's cuspy with queen jack. I don't hate it. I think it's really right there on the
Yeah.
cusp. I think this
I
call is
think villain should
probably
call.
cuspy as
I think
well.
hero should call.
Right. So I'm gonna throw in one more thing here and then we go on, which is just to mention it. Brad Owen in his stable, he has a strategy that if you take his class, you can learn. Mike knows the strategy better than any of us, and that is called Nuffle, which stands for neutralizing flop leads. And it's exactly for the situation, although this was it's when you have when you get donked into. I believe that it's written for like the big blind call, you raise and the big blind calls, and then you go here, this is a limp ISO, so it's not exactly it. And in the first step of Nuffle, you call all of their bets with all of your range on all boards. And you see what they do on the turn. So that's a strategy that I can say that I can claim I was playing, even though I don't know how to play it correctly when you see me call here. All right. To the turn, Tim.
Oh yeah, we're gonna lose some money in this hand.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's coming. I mean, this is obviously the card. We didn't have a lot of direct equity on the flop. Turning in straight draw where we can credibly represent the king. It's kind of a big deal for us. So if he checks, I want to bet like 14, 13 big blinds, somewhere in that range, roughly.
It's
Yeah,
12 enough?
sure.
Okay,
Sounds nice.
all right, good.
And like, because you will have a king here very frequently. You will have king jack. You'll have
Yeah.
hands like that.
And his 9 used to be his gin card. So our card to come in that we could bluff was the 9, right? Giving us the 9, 10,
Right.
jack, queen, which gave him the 1 card straight.
Yes.
Now the 9 is good.
Yeah, right. And you have no way of knowing this, but you do know that your all your straight outs are clean.
Yeah,
That's
except for the
for sure.
clubs. Except for the clubs.
Exactly.
Okay, 12.
So this is a place where I actually have pretty good discipline. Um, no club, no bet.
Right.
Like,
So you're saying you don't do that,
no,
then you don't lose as many.
no,
I
just
do.
like, because I just think, because I like to be blocking it. I know when I have one card in hand, and I will have one card in hand frequently, that they have fewer flushes in range, and that's great.
I think that that's 100% better play than what I did.
What do you mean when you have one card in hand?
One club in
Queen
hand.
of clubs. All you need is the queen of clubs for him to do
Yeah.
this bluff here.
Exactly. I think if you put the queen of clubs in your hand, then this is great. I think the turn is probably, I mean, it's hard to put villain on a range, but probably theoretically correct if you think that he's overfolding a lot, which he probably is. Um, but like, I mean, of course it was, you have no way of knowing that like he has the clubs.
Mhm.
Like he's probably supposed to float turn with 8-6 of hearts. It's probably correct for him with a gutter.
Yeah.
But like he probably is folding that hand. So
Yeah.
it's fine. I think like over bluffing turn is reasonable. I think this is a bridge too far for me on river. It's very easy to know what blockers you want to have, and you can wait for those blockers.
So do you remember the movie A Bridge Over the River Kwai? Do you remember that bridge?
Yeah.
Do you remember what they did to that bridge at the end of the movie?
Did they blow it up?
They blew it up, which is what I
Yeah,
showed.
okay. That's what I thought.
So speaking of bridges too far. Yeah. The only thing that I can say about my terrible decision here is when he donks here, he's donking with a lot more pairs. And when he has a pair, it's harder for him to have the flush draw to go with the pair. He has the combo where he has it, but that's the only thing I can say for mine is that he bets out with a 10 or a 6 or a 7, and here he still calls with that 10. He folds some of his 6s and 7s here, right? So when he has a 10, he can't have a flush draw. So
Yeah.
therefore, this flush, that's the only thing I can say about my play. The other thing I can say is let's never talk about this again and move on.
Can we actually, can I share screen and look at this in Wizard?
Oh, sure, sure. Rub it in, why don't you?
I'm looking at it as, let's see.
So there was the idea that when the flush card comes in, you bet small.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So you
Okay,
bluff
so
small, you bet small. The flush card came in. If you're gonna bluff, you bluff small.
No, that thing about when the flush completes, that's a turn strategy. When
Oh,
the
the
flush completes
turn.
on the river, you can bet big.
So on the turn, if the flush card comes in, you bet small.
Yeah.
Is that the
Spike.
idea?
And small meaning, and what small really means is that you have no overbets.
Yeah,
So
medium sort of.
yeah. So if your betting range when the flush card doesn't come in is 125 and 100, your betting range when the flush comes in is 75 and 50 and some 33. But that's what it is. It moves the window down a little bit on the turn. That's not true on the river.
Okay.
On the
Can
river,
you?
you can have the nuts and go all in.
So you bet small on the turn because why?
when you have the flush, you want him to call. When you're betting, your hand, all your pairs are now marginally made
Mm-hmm.
because he can have the flush. When you have the ace of the flush suit and a pair, you don't mind betting and you don't mind it being cheap.
Yep. Okay. So on the
Those are
turn,
some.
And I would
on the
say from
turn,
like a little bit more like deep on the theory. The big size is what you do with a polarized range when you have hands that are way ahead or way behind of your opponent, and they have a bunch of hands in the middle. That's what you see on bricky textures like king, seven, deuce, four, right?
Yep.
All your hands that were good on the flop, like you have ace king as the pre-flop raiser, your opponent doesn't have that. You have aces, you have
Yep.
sets, they raised off their sets a lot. That four doesn't really complete anything. So you still have hands that are way ahead and hands that are way behind. The best way to make money from a polarized strategy is to bet very large against a condensed range. The flush scrambles both players' ranges. You had hands that were weak. If king seven deuce was a two-tone and you bet ace five of the flush draw, if the flush completes, ace five was a somewhat low equity hand and is now a very high equity hand. It's the nuts, right?
Right.
And so like so many hands have gone up and down that both players' ranges, rather than being like a barbell versus like a circle in the middle for the other
Mhm.
person, like a top and a bottom versus a middle. Both players have like a bunch of like think of like prongs on a comb interlocking with each other. Like you have very high and medium and somewhat medium and low and somewhat low and very low. And so it's hard to tease out what of highly polarized range would be out of that mixture. So you like take a step backwards into sort of medium-sized bets.
And so Larry, tomorrow when we set up, let's do the exercise and let's set it up with flush completing turns.
Okay.
That seems really good. And then we'll get to see that in the bar graph. We'll get to see how the city graph, not the city graph, we'll get to see how the equity graph
Yep.
changes and gets hairy.
Yeah, exactly. You'll see that they just run close together, and that means that you can't use big bets because when you start going really big, you just isolate yourself against your opponent's very strong hands. So I ran this one. I know it's a limp, but I just ran it against like UTG versus big blind. It's actually not the craziest range for him. Does he limp call king nine suited, 8-6 suited,
Yeah, this is
5-3 suited?
it's okay.
It's not the craziest range. And I
Yeah.
gave you as UTG because you're gonna like ISO a somewhat tighter range,
Yeah.
than if you were raising first in from the cutoffs. Like Queen Jack O is like borderline for you here, which seems reasonable.
Which it was. It was a
Yeah,
borderline.
exactly.
It was borderline. So yeah, I'm good with that.
So him donking some here is actually not crazy. When he does it, you can just raise off the bat. Be like, your bet's kind of bullshitty. I will bullshit you back, and at least I have outs.
Right.
But you can call too. It's like 0 EV. So our hemming and hawing and not knowing what to do is for a reason. It's because it's kind of just a shitty spot, and that's fine. You're allowed to play king of clubs. You will face shitty spots. So yeah, he doesn't really continue betting sixes. He should be hyperpolarized here if he checks.
Yeah. When he
Then
does it, he bets big.
yeah, very big. And
Yeah.
you go 75-ish, which is like the size you chose. Queen Jack O, not mandatory to always do it. And in fact, I said that I wanted to have a club, and Solver disagrees. Says check back with the club.
Yeah.
So there's that. It likes that better. Let's see what else
Yeah,
in the main.
Tim.
Yeah, exactly. High lows. Find some like real ace eight. Pocket threes are a bluff.
Ace eight is a
Uh,
sensible bluff. It's a gut shot.
yeah, ace eight is a reasonable bluff. Ace eight, ace nine, queen nine, jack nine, all pretty, I think,
Yep.
reasonable bluffs.
Yep.
You bet most of your kings, although, you check back some kings. You don't want to go into the river just like completely devoid of them. Okay, so you go 75, which seems great. He's gonna, not even gonna raise a lot, but he call a
Mhm.
lot.
But limpers don't find that raise. We know that.
No, that's the kind of mergy thing that they're not doing. He checks again, and
You need a club. No, you don't need a club.
Mainly, this one does it without, and this one does it without. Those are, let's see, what are they?
I have diamond heart. So my size was wrong, but it goes
Hard
for
to
diamond.
say what the what is going on there, but
Oh, and no,
clubs a lot, and other ones sometimes too.
my size wasn't wrong.
No, I
You know,
mean,
the reason is, it's not, it doesn't have the jams. He was a broken stack.
well, yeah, exactly. He was short.
So my 83 is pot size. It was a pot size bet at the end. So, all right.
Yeah, it seems you could save a couple of bucks here, and like the non-club one is like mixing a little smaller. It's mixing between like 83 and 59.
Yeah.
So for what you're, let's see what you're trying to get folds from. You're trying to get folds from stuff as weak as like 8-6 no club.
Yeah.
Stuff as weak as a 5 that got here somehow.
Yeah.
Stuff as weak as
I'm not trying to get a king to fold at that size.
no, although the couple are.
Yeah.
So yeah, stuff in that range. So like I think for targeting those like third pair, fourth pair, you could save yourself
But
just
the
a
10
little bit of money.
Oh, look at the 10. Go back to his tens there.
Yeah.
Does he fold any 10? He folds some tens.
Yeah. 10-9, little Jack 10 when he doesn't have a
Jack 10,
flush card.
Jack 10 suited. He folds his Jack 10 suited. He needs a club to call.
That's
He
right.
needs to
And there's no
block it.
Jack 10s.
Yeah. So getting Jack 10, and although I blocked Jack 10 and Queen 10, so yuck. But still,
Yeah, I would say your bluff targets are like one pair mainly,
Yeah.
right? Like one, like second, third, fourth pair.
Yep.
It's good.
all right. Up next is Larry. Larry, take two hands since you've been gone for so long. And then
Sure.
Elijah, welcome. If you want, you'll see what Larry does. We will ask you to do if you want to do it. You don't have to do it, but you are certainly welcome to. And Larry, you go first. I will turn on the screen sharer so we see this. And we are back to he butchered the Jack Queen, which while GTO says I made some okay decisions, I don't feel good about myself. Here we go. Larry, I give you this.
Yeah, Bullring, I think King 7 is probably mixing. And RFI here. I think we probably get away with it, depending on. I don't think generally population three bets enough, so I think it's fine.
Right. I'm sure that I took it. But
So, we really should fold around, but I would imagine you're gonna get a flat from the broken stack Queen 8.
Yeah.
And the broken stack King 10 might come along as well. All right, heads up against the Queen 8. Good spot to be.
yeah.
Not a great flop. I generally would check here, see what develops. Queen 8, he has no, really doesn't appear to have the check anymore. I mean, he's got what? He's got a gutter. He might bet it. Let's find out.
Yep.
Checks back.
So one of the things that if he was an open limper, I would expect him, if he had limping in this pot, he'd be a guy who I would expect to check back, to not bet his draws.
Yeah.
Like this. Here, I don't think we know enough about just because someone calls in the cutoff, people having calling ranges here, I don't think marks them as playing a particular style. The fact that he has 50 big blinds, maybe he doesn't find as many of the bluffs, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a very high VPIP across, I can't tell how many hands.
Yeah, 54 across 41 hands. That's significant.
So against that kind of VPIP, I might actually just bet range here because
Right.
his range is so wide. And go a third to a half, depending on texture, probably a third here. But checking is fine. He checks back, I assume.
Yeah, I like that argument. And the one thing against it is, so he has a wide range, but doesn't his wide range just slam into jacks and tens? Isn't that where his wide range is centered around?
Maybe you might be right, but
Don't know.
playing half of hands is
Yeah, that's true.
not ideal. So this is a very blankish river and, sorry, turn, and he check back. So I think right now we've got license to bluff. I would construct a two-street bluff there, starting with either a third or a half. I think this is fine. He's gonna call his gut shot. So it's important here to understand what his calling range is. His calling range, it does compose a lot of the draws, just like you said,
Hmm.
that he's gonna have around the middle region. So we have to be aware of what he's drawing to.
Right.
I would be very nervous about a diamond or anything that completes a straight.
Mhm.
And let's go to a river.
And then before we bet the river, I just want to point out one thing. This is a stat you don't often see on HUDs. This is his calling any pre-flop range in any position, but he's calling almost half, 40, he's calling 43% of raises. So he has got a wide range.
Yeah, that's a
And
good
this is
point.
a number that you can notice, meaning you can play against a guy and notice that he's calling that half the raises that come his way, he calls, his hands are weak. So even if they're clustered around the 10 jack, he's got a lot of garbage that doesn't hit that too. So we're at the 3.
And so this is very much, I mean, the wheel gets there, but I think it's pretty blinkish. So, I would go anywhere from 10 to pot here.
Sounds good. Let's bluff with the best hand and have it work. Good.
I don't know
Yeah.
how you lost $5,000. All I see are successful bluffs so far.
Because when I lose, I'm losing the pot size, and when I win, I'm winning half of it.
Yeah, it's fair.
Also, maybe because this particular session of the hands that we grabbed, I just grabbed the latest ones. So maybe I chose worse bluffs earlier in my career. This is over all my bluffs. So I'll look
Okay.
to see how bad it is over the last 100 or something, before we're done.
So this looks like it should be blind versus blind, but very well we could get a limp from Dylan 60.
Like that.
Okay, there's your limp. So, so 7-5 is an awkward spot. I think we really want a little bit better blockers to, ISO here. I think I prefer to come along with this hand. I think this is an overlimp hand. Kind of sucks playing it out of position, but I think that's the nature of this hand.
Yep.
Option check for villain 57. So should check around to the limper. Who knows what he's gonna do? He very well, maybe we'll see the pot size bet here.
I think he's going to check. I think he's going to stay with his personality here and try to realize that way. Yep.
Okay. So this ace is probably best for our limper. He probably is limping a lot. Almost all of his ace X it's weak.
Mhm.
I don't really, yeah, I would check here. I would check. Let's see what, and I think we're probably gonna see a check again.
He's double gutted now.
So we've got total blank. No one cares about this pot. You certainly can make the choice to try to get the 3 big blinds. I would go 2.5.
Someone cares about this pot, me.
Nice one.
All right. Elijah, if you would like to unmute and do the next hand, it is yours. Would you like that? And I will open up chat to see if Elijah responds in the chat.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Elijah. All right, cool.
Hey,
So,
yeah, I'll do it.
right.
I'm driving right now as well, so I
Oh,
apologize.
no.
I'll do
I
my
don't want you to
best.
I don't want you to have to look at the board and die.
Yeah, a lot of times I'm working while I'm working because I do transportation for a living, so I kind of sit in and listen
All
and
right.
I try to interact when I can in the chat, but
Well, here, let's do this. I don't look at your phone. We'll tell you the hand and you just talk back to us, but don't look at the screen. All right, here we go. So
all right.
there are 5 players dealt into the hand. So we'll start with the hijack has pocket sevens and 103 big blinds. What do you think he should do with pocket sevens in the hijack?
And you said how many big blinds he has?
He's got 100 big blinds and the smallest stack on the table has 80. So perfectly reasonable cash game, not particularly deep, just 100 big blind poker. And he's got pocket sevens
Okay.
in the hijack.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in this spot he could open or he could flat it, but he wouldn't probably want to go multi-way with sevens. I mean, he could set mine, but since he's in position, I can definitely see him opening this.
I agree. I think he should open it. And to simplify how you play, if you want to play better, don't limp this. Don't have any open limp range at all from any position except the small blind. And then we can discuss whether you should have, it depends on if your game is raked or not, whether you do it. The best play includes raise or fold pre-flop from if you're the first person in the pot. You'll notice a lot of people here a lot of the people we watch play don't do that. You'll notice I do that. And everyone in our session advises doing that along with all the coaches. That's better poker. So let's see what he does. He open raises, which is great. He does the right thing. The guy in the cutoff has pocket sixes.
Okay, I'm pretty sure this is a standard call here, especially in the cutoff, kind of closing the action on give or take what the button does, but yeah, the standard call.
Right. So good. I'm going to just say a few more things about it. You're definitely not closing the action. You've got three people to act behind you. So you want to be thinking about, are these the type of people who do a lot of squeezing? If this was a 20-40 game, you would never call these sixes because once you call these sixes, somebody's going to squeeze you. They're going to take a good hand and squeeze you, and they're going to take a bad hand and squeeze you. But that's not going to happen at our rates. So this call is not bad. If you're playing in a low rake or no rake game, calling the sixes here and trying to set mine is perfectly fine. Derek does it all the time. It's profitable for him. That's fine. If you're playing in a California drop game, which is a huge rake, or just an online rake, you might consider simplifying your strategy such that you have no calls in the cutoff at all. Just no hand do you ever call. You three bet or fold. That's what I tend to do. It's fine if you don't do that. You're very, very good players also call here, and they call with pocket sixes here. So the sixes are fine. The decision is fine. I just wanted to give that little extra information about the rake and remind you that you're not closing the action. You are nowhere near closing the action, but that may not matter in this player pool. And the fact is, in this player pool, it doesn't matter. They don't find enough squeezes. So this six is, but he folds perfectly fine. He folds. There's a 7-jack on button offsuit who folds. And it comes to me in the small blind with ace jack offsuit.
Okay. So this hand's probably a three betting hand. I mean, I personally, I wouldn't want to, especially against under the gun. You know, under the gun is going to have a much tighter range. So I would three bet here with ace jack.
Good. I agree. I'm going to look it up. I don't actually know the range off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure I three bet this. It's what I would do here. And I just wanted to correct one piece of language for you for your thinking. Even though the sevens were first to act, don't call him under the gun in your own head. Call him the hijack still, because that is the range that he has. So he's the first person to act. So he's technically under the gun, but the way I'm very sorry that poker ever had the words under the gun in their language, because it should have been counting back from the button. It should have been the button, the cutoff, the hijack, the low jack, some name before that, which I call the pre, some name before that, which I call the tree, some name before that, which I call the bullet, and some range before that, which is in 10-handed, which I call the gun. But he is the hijack, so you don't have to, he doesn't have an under the gun strong range. He's still got 6-5, he's got all kinds of hands that hijack. He's got 10, he's got queen jack off, he's got king 10 off. That the under the gun, 8-handed wouldn't have. Having said all that, the ace jack is going to three bet. And what size would you like to three bet to? The hijack raised to 2.5. You are in the small blind with ace jack off suit. You've decided to three bet, which I agree with. What size would you like to three bet to?
Since we're out of position, I'm going to size up a little bit, just so I don't give the big blind, good pot odds to continue or to come in the pot. From his 2.5 big blind raise, I'd probably be raising it up to say like 8 big blinds.
Okay. I love your thought. I love your logic there. I would go even more. Poker
Wow.
coaching advises four times his size. So poker coaching advises this to be a 10 big blind raise, but they're looking
Okay.
at against 3 big blind open, so they really go to 12. And the GTO wizard against a 2.5 also makes it 12. So
Okay.
you're the way you're thinking about it is totally right, but more oomph. Or to quote what's the movie? Lost in Translation, more intensity. And
Okay.
I go to 12. And by the way, I just looked it up. You're not going to look at this, but other people are going to see it. The ace jack off on the small blind against a hijack open is a mix. It raises about 31% of the time, and it never calls. Never. And this is in a sim that does have calling. So this is a sim that
Okay.
calls queen jack suit, king jack suit, king queen suited, and ace jack suited sometimes in the small blind. It never calls the ace jack offsuit. And you're going to see that commonly true, that the offsuit branch rarely calls. In this
Right.
sim, the ace queen offsuit calls what percent of the time? Like almost never. It calls 18% of the time, and no other offsuit hand ever calls. So there you go. So I go to 12, the king 3 off folds, and the pocket sevens. What would you like to do if you have pocket sevens here and you're in the hijack? What do you think is the correct play against this raise?
I guess this spot is kind of a little bit player dependent. I don't see. I think calling is fine. To try to set mine. You have position on the player, so I think calling would be fine. If you think the player is on the tighter end, I think folding is acceptable as well.
I'm hell's yes on everything you said there. Let's just take a look at what the wizard says to it. I agree with everything you said. Small blind goes to 12. The wizard says that the hijack with his sevens mixes. It does some folding of sevens there. It does some calling. It folds most of the time, 85%. I'm
Okay.
calling 100% of the time, which is probably incorrect. It folds it, just so we know, it folds eights, it folds nines sometimes, nines mixes calls and raises, it folds tens sometimes, bleh, and it never folds jacks. So that's what it does. But it calls every 5, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, and 7, 8 that it has suited, that it played this way. And the reason is, let's make the range height the actual height. And the reason is because you have these so rarely that this shapes your. It's not that 6, 7 suited is so much better than 7, 7, is you end up going with the same number of with a right number of combos to the turn. But you called it, ain't wrong. And if you did it 100% of the time, you ain't wrong either. Because whenever the solver mixes, that means that the EV of both plays is approximately equal. So that if you chose to simplify your strategy and fold your pocket sevens here 100% of the time, you would make about the same amount of money as you called them 100% of the time, as long as your opponents didn't know which one you did.
Gotcha.
So that is a thing about solver strategy. The solver is calculated to be able to give someone its exact strategy, to say to somebody, I play exactly like this. You can come up with no strategy that beats me. And that's not how real poker is played. So he calls, you would call, I would call, everybody calls, we're happy, and we're off to the flop. And Scotty's going to lose some money on this hand because the flop is 10-7-3 with 2 spades, and Scotty has the jack of spades. So this is going to end badly for Scotty. All right. So the flop is 10-7-3 with 2 spades. You have the ace of clubs, jack of spades, and you are out of position. You are the 3-better. What would you like to do, my friend?
since we don't have no pair, right now we only have ace high, but we do have some backdoor equity. I would continue, but I'd probably continue on the smaller side here, just because this board just isn't hitting our range too hard.
That sounds great. And what size is small to you? The pot is now 25 big blinds.
I would go in this scenario probably about like 7.5 ish
Sure.
big.
Sure. Absolutely. You could go as small as 6. You could go as small as more. You can make your small bet as small as quarter pot. I don't, but you can. I go 9, a little bit on the bigger side of that, but still sub 50. Rare. I don't think he's going to fold his pocket 7s. So now with pocket 7s here, do you want to call or do you want to raise? And by the way, you don't have the 7 of spades. So it is possible. That doesn't matter. You don't care.
Yeah, I'm for sure calling this spot every time. I mean, with 7s, I don't think there's no merit of raising here, really. I know we don't have the 7 of spades, but I think calling is perfectly fine.
Sure. The reason that you might want to raise here is because you don't have the top set, you have the second set. That means that I have more 10x in my range. It's easier for me to have top pair, which I will
Okay.
call the raise. But you're in position. You can raise whenever you can raise whenever you want. You can make this pot as big as you want. It was 3-bet pre-flop. It's going to be easy to get it all in by the river if I have ace 10 or if I have pocket aces. So great. He just calls because he wants me to hit an ace or a jack or a spade and make my life terrible. The turn is the 2 of hearts.
Okay, and now from this turn, I'm probably slowing down and I'm checking ace jack hand for sure.
Yeah, that'd be much better than what I did. I bet I bet 30. This hand is over. Now. The question is, does he have the discipline of rounders to not raise his best hand here? And let me
Now
bet.
this would be interesting because yeah, with this hand, when somebody goes 30, I'm thinking that, especially since they 3-bet, that they actually have, a legitimate holding, I might just ship it all in.
My hand looks a lot like aces, doesn't it? Right now.
Yeah, I really don't think, on that board that somebody's getting away after committing that much money into the pot. I mean, unless they have air, of course, but
Yeah. My hand looks a lot like aces, kings, queens, and jacks right now. And I'm probably calling all those. But when I have air, this is the only way he gets more money from the air is by checking. I hate him so much. And the river is an 8.
yeah, here with ace jack, I would definitely like I said, I would have been giving up. I don't have this board just isn't hitting our range, and we only have ace high at this point, especially with him calling us down multiple streets. I would be doing a lot of checking.
Absolutely. Plus the jack of spades in my hand is even worse because I want him to have a spade draw that he will fold. And I have a jack of spades. I want him to have 9 jack of spades that was a combo draw. And I have a jack of spades. I want him to have, yeah, that's what I want. So I don't think there's any reason to see what I did on the river. We can move on. We can move on to the next hand, I think. Maybe he folds. Maybe he folds. Does he fold his set? Fold? Does he fold? Because I have 9-10. He doesn't fold. All right. Next hand is me, and we're going to go about another. We'll go about another 18 minutes. We'll stop at 12:15. Everybody, here we go. So Larry wanted to know Larry said, "How did you lose $5,000 on these bluffs? How about like that?
That will get you there.
That will do it." Okay. let's go back to where were we? I gotta get to the right hand. We were just at, I'm lost. We're looking for me to have ace jack off. So let's go until we see, where's my ace jack off that I was just at? There we are. Okay, this is us. Ace jack against the sevens. Okay, next hand.
Okay.
This is gonna be fold, 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 raise, fold, fold. Ace three, 8-3 suited should not defend, but he's going to. Now let me see if there are gonna any limpers in front of us that makes this happen. The queen three could limp, but he's not going to. And we can tell by his very reasonable stats of 13 and 8, he's not limping. So there's the folds, there's the raise, there's the fold. This 8-3 is defending, which is too much. And that's how you get to a VPIP of 50, is by defending hands like 8-3 suited in the big blind. This is an easy defend in a tournament. We don't defend these. All right, he calls. And there we go. He calls. So he should check range here. He does. I have a gut shot, 2 overs to the middle. And if the queen comes, I will have an open-ended. I can bet. And so I do. I bet 2. He's got bottom pair. He should call. He should not check raise. He does. The 4 does not bring equity. He checks. I didn't get additional equity, but I still have enough equity to bluff because I still have a gut shot. So it's still a draw. So I can make this a 3-street bluff if I want. The 4 brings in spades. I block that. So I block some of his continues. So that's good. So I bet it. I bet high. He calls. I hate him so much. Although, let's not be gendered. I could hate her. Or I could hate them. And the river comes, a queen. He checks. When I have a king, I had a king the whole time, I would continue betting it. The queen brings in nothing else except for that. But would I did this with 10 jack, would I do this with jack queen? Yes. I could do this with, no, I can't do this with jack queen. All right, so there we go. So it's just, is he capped? So just doing the Mark Goons thing. He check called. Is he capped? Yes. So I'm gonna bluff. There was an someone? No, okay. I bluff and I want you to fold a 7 or an 8. I'm not trying to get you to fold a king. You don't have a king, you folded. All right, Derek.
Yay. Okay.
I give you this. And again, and to Larry who said, how do you lose? Because when I lose with ace jack, I lose 100 big blinds. And when I win with jack 10, I win 7. I win 12 big blinds. That's
My
what I
only
want.
question is, I wonder if we're expected to be winning with our no equity bluffs. I mean, I think part of the reason that we bluff is that we need to be called down with our value.
Exactly. And so that's what leads to my massive 1.5 big blinds per 100 win rate.
Exactly. But that's probably a 9 big blind per 100 without rate.
That's true, but we're playing with rake.
But Larry has a point. Like you're bluffing, the expected value might be negative or it's positive, depending on how much you lay, right? So and how often they call. So I guess you could be, I'm not sure how I'm trying to phrase this. But like Larry said, you're making like zero, what's the term? Zero equity type plays, right?
Yeah, zero EV.
Zero EV plays. And when you lay odds, you're laying odds when you bluff. And if they call correctly, that's when your EV is going to be negative. And when they call incorrectly, your EV is positive.
Yeah.
So you could still be making good bluffs and have a negative result.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. I think I've probably over the total time, I've probably made a mistake. I'm probably over bluffing, but we're gonna look at something. We're gonna look at like my last 1,000 hands or my last 100. Oh, this is 1,000 hands. We're gonna look at the last 3 months when we're done. Just, I mean, I'm gonna limit it to the last 3 months and see what the total is. Because this goes all the way back to, 2021 or whatever. Yeah, this is me playing in 2020 before I knew any of you guys. All right.
Okay.
So, Derek, this is
Yep.
your hand, I believe. Is that right?
Yep.
All right. Derek, I give you
9-5 folds, 7-6 folds, 10-6 folds, 8 Ray opens. Oh, they limp with their 8s. Holy
your
crap.
8.
Okay, you should just print a enlarged Sharpie on their forehead. An idiot. So we're playing with an idiot. So will an idiot fold if we bet here?
Sometimes. But we also don't care if he folds immediately. We have position.
Yeah. So we bet. And then Jack 4 folds and everyone else folds. And the idiot calls. And the idiot flops nothing, right? So we can bet with we have our open-ended straight draw.
Mhm.
The idiot checks to us. We bet they check raise us.
We bet a third. He calls.
Oh, they flat call. Okay.
And this is very different than Elijah's hand, because in Elijah's hand, the set was in position and could therefore make the pot whatever size they wanted whenever they needed to. He's out of position, so he should be check raising bottom set here all the time. Plus, I'll call him. Yeah, he should check raise here. And by he, I mean all of us. All of us should check raise in this situation, not call. All right.
That's a totally blankety blank.
Mhm.
So I know he's going to try check raising again. He checks. The 3 changed nothing. Does he bet out? Does he donk out when the 3
Nope,
comes?
he didn't donk. He didn't donk.
Okay. Okay. So he will check.
Right. He's slow playing. And
So he checks, and do we check?
I would think that this is not a bad, now that he's called, I think might not be a bad time to just realize my equity by getting there. As opposed to betting it. I can bet it. I mean, I'm allowed to. It's a draw. You can continue to bet your draws. And I have enough equity with this draw. It's an open-ended draw and an overcard. So surely my king is good if I hit my king, right? Maybe my jack
Mhm.
is good. Because
I
what's
think
the best he has? He has a 10. He can't have a set. He would have check raised a set.
Yeah.
So
We can
I
get more
can
money in
continue.
there. We think we can get more money in there.
Yeah. But I also, it would not, I can't imagine it's a mistake here to just check and
Yep.
realize. But I prefer to bet 12 to go polar, claiming that I have ace queen, queen 10, pocket queens, and pocket tens. That's what I'm claiming. And he both does not believe me and now check raises, min clicks me.
Clicks it back. Okay. So we don't think that he hit the 3. So
We
it's
don't.
strange that he chose to check raise us when he hit the 3. I mean, he could have pocket 3s, but we don't think he has pocket 3s.
We could.
So we call here.
So Larry has something to say about this right now.
Well, we're playing in position, pot odds versus equity. We've got implied odds and we've got the direct odds. So this is a killer call.
Yep.
Yep.
Look
We
at what
call.
our express odds are.
Yeah, we've got direct odds and we've got significant implied odds.
Yeah,
It's,
this would be a terrible fold, even if he turned over his cards and showed me his eights.
Yep. We call.
Yeah. Please don't raise. Good, we call.
Ooh, something came in, but it isn't what us, what we wanted.
So yeah, this is a tough spot.
What do you mean, we, white man?
So now he bets this.
Nope, he checks it.
Oh, he checks again.
He check raised, he min check raised, and he checked the turn. He checked the river.
Well, if you're gonna take the spot, you can only have one size.
Damn right. Would you like to say what that size is, Derek? It is your hand.
65.
Damn right. With 66.5, but yes. Let's go.
He folds his set.
Folded a set.
Very nice, very nice. Yay, us.
Yay, us. Scotty Redline Meltzer right there. So like Tim pointed out before he left, this king of diamonds is doing a lot of work for me.
Yeah.
Ace of diamonds would be nicer, but you can't always get what you want.
Well, good for you.
Yep.
Bottom out
Right.
of a set.
Yep. And I think that is going to be a great hand to end the oh no, we got two more. No, I'm sorry. We can go through you guys. Mike is next. Let's do this. Then we'll do it. We'll get through these. Okay. Mike.
all right. Jacks should raise. I see Hero is sitting here with King Jack suited. He's gonna, will this be a 3-bet pot?
Hell yeah.
I think it will be because Hero won't call here.
You know me.
Nice. Folds around back to jacks. We are, what are we starting with? About 125-ish, 120-ish.
Yeah.
Pocket jacks. Kind of probably player dependent to call or 3-bet, but probably just mostly calling here.
Yeah, I think the solver is a pure call, never a 4-bet with jacks.
Yeah, this early, I think it is too.
Yeah,
I don't
early
see
and
a
out of position.
I don't see 4-bets with jacks here.
Yeah,
ever.
we are right. We are pre versus low jack. So here we go. He raises with this range. I 3-bet him with king jack suited. Hells yeah. Pure 3-bet. Comes around to him with jacks. He does some folding and a sliver of raising.
Yeah. Okay.
Mostly folds jacks. He doesn't mostly fold jacks. Our opponents do not fold jacks here. But
my player pool doesn't fold 7s.
Yeah. I don't know that. Yeah, that's fine. Nobody we play against folds jacks here. And I don't know if they do at the higher stakes either. But the important thing is there's very little 3-betting of jacks.
So
Jacks is
mainly
a great hand until you get raised.
So it's mainly fold to a 3-bet with jacks. Is that
Yeah.
what we're taking away?
In this early position, under the gun versus low jack, take the same thing and go hijack versus cutoff, and you're not going to find near as many folds. Just to show it to you.
So
Hijack raises, cutoff 3-bets him, come back on the hijack. There's your jacks, no folding. It's how
if you bet open with jacks early position and another early position player 3-bets you fold.
Right.
With jacks.
I mean, look at how extreme this version of it is. First of all,
wow.
I mean, so here you are under the gun. You open your jacks. You get 3-bet by under the gun 1. Again,
with king jack.
Right. And here we go. Jacks folds almost pure. Queens folds a third of the time. So the relative positions matter a lot. But the most important thing here, by the way, is not your opponent's position as much as this, because under the gun raises. Let's go button 3-bets him. I should be doing this in peak. I'll do this in peak next time. Sorry. I should be doing this. This is just what was open. And here the jacks are folding a lot also. Not as much, but a lot.
When the button 3-bets
Yeah, and it's because it's because of how the button has to respect your range. That's the magic going on here, which is
Okay, I'm not that. tight.
everybody, right? Everybody, because the under the gun range, in this case, the low jack -2 range. So we're playing 8-handed. So low jack -2, or as I would call it, the tree. But because this range is so tight, everybody who 3-bets them has to respect it. Now this guy has to respect that range and worry about someone waking up with aces behind him. So he has to be tighter than the cutoff, but not that much tighter. So if you look at the difference here, look at this range here. I'm going to move this guy out of the way. Just look at it visually. And we're looking at the raises here. So I'm going to put on only, so here we go, raises. So look at the raises here. Now look at the raises in the cutoff.
Looks like
Really
more kings are betting. King jack suited, king 10 suited.
Right? Those are your bluffs, but they're high equity bluffs. You know, they're strong bluffs. Now go all the way to the cutoff and look at that same range. Really similar, right? The stuff up here is really similar.
King jack
You have
suited.
a
and
little bit
king
more
10 suited.
Yeah, you have more calls down here, but you don't have much more raising in the cutoff down here.
Yeah.
So the raising range of the under the gun one and the cutoff to the under the gun, again, I keep saying using the terms, low jack -2 versus low jack -1 here. These aren't that different, and therefore the under the gun -2, the low jack -2 player, when it comes around after the 3-bet, comes back around to him, he has to be really tight. Again, this is with no rake here. So he has more calls. Moving back over to here. I 3-bet.
Everything that we're looking at there is all versus good balanced players, good solid players. This would be a situation, like I said early on here, this would be pretty player dependent. And jacks, I would never 4-bet some unknown in this pool. I would never take the 4-bet line versus your average person sitting here. Now, if I had been playing with Scotty who has like,
they're an ace queen offsuit minimum, right?
I'm sorry, what?
Their worst hand is ace queen. Their worst hand is ace queen offsuit. They have almost no tens.
Yeah, and they never have any kind of bluff. It's just always going to be a very linear, good, solid range.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm playing against a reg who has shown himself to be a pretty decent, good, and has a high 3-bet percentage, I will turn up the 4-bet on jacks, but
yeah, your opponents are never 3-betting king 10 suited here. They're just never doing it. They're calling it 100% of the time, right?
the average unknown, no, yeah, they're never 3-betting those.
Almost none of them are ever 3-betting ace 5 suited here. And if they are, they've heard that one thing. They've heard the solver special on one video, hopefully one of our videos. And if they're doing it, great, but they don't know these ones. And they're calling the ace 6 suit. They're calling all this stuff too. That's what we're seeing.
Yep.
They're up here. And even if you give them pocket 10s, which are crushing, they have pocket 10s, which are crushing. And then they have aces, kings, and queens, which are losing to, and then the other jacks that they never have that you're splitting with. So as a balance, they're crushing you 3 times more often than you're crushing them. Then they have ace king, which you're flipping with, ace king suited, which you're flipping with, some ace queen offsuit, and some ace. That's what they have in their 3-bets. Your jacks are terrible. But nobody ever folds jacks either. So there we go. How do I
pretty
get-
interesting flop. I just don't think you just are ever going to donk on a monotone. But if this was like rainbow, I think this would be one you might see donks in a solver. But check, king jack. This is a really rough one. I'm not sure what would be best here. Probably just to bet very small and frequent.
Right, like 5.
Yeah, like and not even
How,
5.
how do you get small and frequent out of this?
Monotone boards like this are just you know, typically kind of under defended.
Oh, okay. So you're betting that they fold too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
But yeah, so you go like kind of what, a little bigger than a third.
Yeah, probably a little bigger than I needed to.
And then the jacks they're always going to call.
Right. And in real and for their better strategy here, they probably should be calling with a diamond and considering folding without a diamond, although they're still an
Yeah.
overpair. They're not going to.
Yeah.
But that's on the turn, they really should need a diamond to continue.
Excuse me. These are good flops or good. These are kind of hands that are just like, Jesus, I wouldn't know what the fuck to do. If I were jacks, I would be checking. And if I was king jack suited now, gosh, I guess I'd probably just, I don't think I'd continue. I'd probably just give up
Sure.
on the
want.
turn, at least here. Like, I don't know if I would bet now. I might consider betting river, but not now. What do you do?
Well, there's a weird thing here. I think I check and then I bluff the river, I think is what's going to happen. The weird thing here is that what hand doesn't want to continue to get value on the turn? Like, let's say I miraculously have the ace eight of diamonds, so I have a
The eight of
straight,
diamonds that just wants everything to get there.
everything is there.
So if you looked at the solver, often when we have the absolute nuts,
Mhm.
we're going to check at some frequency, even in position. So I think only the eight of diamonds would be one where we check trap in position.
You know what I could check here? I could check here. King of diamonds.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Check the king of diamonds and see what he does on the river. It's the third nuts. Okay, it's not even the third nuts. It's the because the 3-4 of diamonds is also a straight flush. So it is the way down there nuts. Yeah, so there is a believable hand. So I check back.
Well, you would also be checking kings, queens, and aces without diamonds, right?
Oh yeah, but I'm not going to bet them on the river.
Okay, yeah, of
That's the
course.
problem is I'm not going to bet them on the river. But
I
I
thought
am
you were
gonna
I
bet.
thought you were just asking what hands you would check that were
No,
of
no, no.
value.
I mean, because this hand needs to bluff on the river to win the pot. Because this hand needs to bluff, does it fit in with, are there any other buckets of hands that check the turn and bet the river? Is that so suspicious where you go, no hand would do that, therefore he must be a bluff? If he's thinking that far. And I just wanted to make sure, are there hands that would do this? And there are. King of diamonds would do it. I would check back the king of diamonds.
Yeah.
Then when the deuce and he checks again, I'm going to bet the king of diamonds here. I'm certainly betting the ace of diamonds here. And I'm going to bet that big.
Good hand.
Right.
WP, Scotty.
How do I not win all the money? Larry, this is gonna be our last hand, not because Elijah was not incredibly accurate and trenchant in his narration, which he was, but because we don't want him to die, and also because it's 12:21. And so,
All right, you want me to take this last hand?
yeah, take the last hand.
So I think 10-6 gets some RFIs here. It should fold around to the button.
Mhm.
So we're gonna have a blind versus blind hand. So hero is going to, I guess, raise
what the fuck?
7-2 deuce.
Why would I raise? Why am I not just folding this? What do I think I'm in a tournament?
This is like 3 pips too wide, but
This is
maybe
wrong.
you've got some lead on this guy.
I've got 19 hands on him. Oh, it's because of this. He's calling his fold to, well, we don't have his fold to steal, but he's only calling 10% of hands.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then you're gonna open here,
I just opened. Yeah,
and he can 3-bet or call, I think.
he can 3-bet. He can 3-bet queen 10 suited at me. All over the place. That's a good 3-bet. He calls.
And so go to a flop. This is not gonna go well for hero, I'm afraid. So you totally
Wow.
missed, and I check a lot anyway, so I would check here.
That's such a good idea. I should have ended on the previous hand. That would have been a much better video.
So you bet he's gonna call,
Yep.
and this is gonna end poorly. So I think it's important to think about what his calling range is here. You still, maybe get some diamonds to fold out. But generally, this card, I mean, I may be influenced by what I'm seeing. But this card completes a lot of what he's calling with. Yeah,
Everything.
Jack 9. Lots of stuff. So I would generally give up at this point.
Yeah. Everything he called with now is something.
Yeah.
Except for his really crap, except for his insane, his diamonds that don't meet the board at all. That's all he's got.
Yeah.
Check. He checks behind out of a little bit of fear, but mostly out of trapping. And ace
Yeah.
jack.
Okay, so you're gonna claim this ace, but we're 4 to a straight.
I'm not claiming the ace. No way.
I guess you're claiming the jack.
I'm claiming the jack.
So if you're claiming the jack, then you probably need to bet pot or bigger.
Like that.
Yeah, and he's gonna hero you there. Not much of a hero, but he's gonna call you.
He does. Yep. All right.
Okay. GG.
GG. Okay, so we look at this as we go, and the only thing we change is we change the date.
Date all dates.
All dates, thank you. So we go from, instead of all dates, we go to this year. Let's just look at this year. How bad was it this year? I lost $239 on bluffs this year.
That's
I'm
a lot.
fine with that.
Yeah,
That's
you're doing all
fine.
right.
That's okay. Yeah. All right.
Good session. So you're here tomorrow, right?
Yep. Tomorrow we're gonna try to look at flush draw boards with flush completing turns.
Okay, I'm not sure if we can do that in GT Wizard, but I'll try.
I don't know either. I'll see if Peak GTO can do it. We'll do it in Peak GTO.
Okay,
We love
That's
them.
fine.
But
Sounds
if not,
good.
yeah, we'll see if we can set it up. Thanks, everybody. Elijah, welcome. You're an asset to the group. We hope to see you again. And when you come back, if you're not driving, you will get extra hands to catch up for the one I didn't give you today. Tomorrow we meet again, same time, 9:15 on Pacific time. Thanks again to Multi-Table Foley for suggesting this filter. When I first looked at this filter and I saw that I was down by 5,000, I said, when I come out of this session, I'm going to never bluff again. That I was, that my bluffs were not where my money is, that my red line is fabulous, but my blue line is bad, and that's where my money leak is. But now that I've looked at it, I think that my bluffing that I'm doing in over this year, the amount that we saw in this group, probably not, it's probably a little heavy, but not much. I mean, I don't think I should be stopping at all. I don't think I was going to radically change my strategy after today, and I don't think I'm going to.
Oh,
Yeah, I
Maybe that
think one thing
filter.
I would work on is just understanding just ranging them a little bit and just understanding what combos are calling your aggression and then what gets there and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Show me your filter, Scotty.
Okay. My filter is, here we go.
You can
And
send it to them. You can export filter.
I can send it to him, but I can also just hit the button. Okay. Here we go. It's a simple filter. And no, I don't want to add it. I want to, how do I get the one that's there? I go, oh, I want to,
Hit the more filters button right there.
hit the more filters
That
button.
should
It'll show.
show it.
Here we go. This is what it looks like. So we want to look where, so first of all, we were on hero. So we're only looking at my river bluffs. We could have seen other people's river bluffs if we wanted to, but the request, Multi-Table Foley's request was wanted to see me get embarrassed. And I support all the YouTube comments. So we make sure we always bet the river, and then we want to make sure that our hand is shitty. So we made one pair on any street using 2 hole cards that are under pair to the board, meaning did we bluff our deuces, 3s, 4s, 5s, right? Or did we make one pair on any street using a card, a hole card that's a lower pair, so below the third pair? Did I turn a third pair into a bluff? Or most of all, did I only have a high card on the river? That's the one that's doing all the work. Is high card on the river.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna
the,
look at that. I'm gonna look at my stats too.
right, and the reason I put in these pairs, because you could just do the bet any river bluff where your hand is a high card on the river. That's pure bluffs. But as you and I know, we need to pick up the deuces, threes, fours, fives. So that's the underpair to the board that are you having an underpair in your hand. And here are your bottom pairs that you turned into bluffs also. And the reason that that one filter came in where I had the that river
Yeah, you had a straight.
straight was because I had a jack on the turn or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a pair on a street using one hard. I made second pair and then I had my straight. And so that's how it made its way into that filter. And who cares? I mean, you don't need to eliminate those. This filter did all the work we wanted it to.
All right, guys, I will talk to you tomorrow.
Yep.
See you guys all
Nice talking to
tomorrow.
you guys.
Gotti, are you gonna be wearing your celebratory Jewish Christmas outfit tomorrow?
I have a yarmulke somewhere and I also have, I've got something. I think I have reindeer horns and a yarmulke both.
There we go. Now we're
Oh,
talking.
I'm actually cleaning out my room with all the old costumes. I was looking at them. So I know where all the weird hats are. So if I have that, I'll put it on. All
Now I
right.
got something to look forward to.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
Bye. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Oh, and since Skate's not here, allow me to say it for you. May the poker gods be with you.